You can beat them.
No reason not to try.
Even after what they did to you at the mall, all those bots down, you're still fighting? How come?
Freedom's worth any cost.
Even dying?
Would have to be alive to die.
Yeah, yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Skates on level 4, weapons development.
Why are you telling me this?
Because I finally met someone less human than a robot.
What's this about, Robert?
Well,
Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Science Fiction Remnant. And I am not your evil Bezos. I am.
and I and I am not, unfortunately, Elon Musk.
And I am not Mr. Taco, but we'll just go.
Oh wow, Mr. Taco.
We're Mr. Taco Man. Hey,
Yeah.
at least you can tell that he went out with a bang.
Indeed. F in chat for Mr. Taco.
I love how this movie is full of catchy phrases, guys.
We should have a moment of silence for Mr. Taco.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh God.
He's a war hero with an 80s pipe organ.
He had his peak moment. He had his 5 seconds when he actually played Journey. That was pretty cool.
That was
awesome.
sick.
That was. I thought I am alive. Zap boom. So, what have you guys been watching besides an awesome Netflix movie?
I went back and rewatched this film that we covered earlier. It's called Archive, and it is so amazing to me that I've been trying to get our very own Captain Chaos without success. Usually, when I show him a movie that you don't see an ending coming miles away, he already knows what's coming. And I just get this deep pleasure knowing that he did not see the ending of Archive coming at all. And I don't know why that gives me some pleasure.
I still did confuse you. I still did confuse you because you were afraid I might not like it. Yeah, I actually think I was the one that liked it the most out of all of us.
Yes, that was a great film. For all of you out there are not familiar, just go into our back catalog and listen to that episode. The movie is basically about this genius, roboticist, if that is the word.
He's now. Scientific-y.
Very
scientific word, roboticist.
Roboticist. And I don't want to tell you much about the movie though, because it was definitely a roller coaster ride, and I really feel that that's what made that movie so enjoyable. Just not knowing that something was coming and from what direction it was coming from. So go back to our back catalog and listen to that one. If you haven't watched the movie, I invite you guys to join our Discord channel and let us know what you guys think about that film.
And before we jump into my session, my segment, I wanted to mention this guy Theo James, which is the main character for Archive movie. He seems to be a very brilliant new emerging talent because I've been seeing him in several very good new films, actually, guys. Sci-fi, most of them.
Yeah.
So all right. What about you, Ray? Me?
Oh.
Me. Well, I've been playing Cyberpunk. I watched a little bit of Halo. And then I played some Halo. Yeah. And then I played some Halo.
Season 1 or Season 2?
Season 1. Just the very beginning. I was watching C from Apple TV. I love that series. That's a post-apocalyptic future. Very interesting, where everybody goes blind. and they have a witch hunt for people that see. Literally, it's interesting. And last but not least, I did a rewatch and then a re-listen of Black Mirror episode playtest. It's great for me to listen episodes that are we done, guys, so I can get that after the fact conversation. Oh, I had a better comeback, but I was too late.
That always happens to me. It's like we listen to our show and it's like, damn it, I forgot this.
Yeah,
We all do
I
that.
listened to your first season and I think you could have actually said this, it would have been more accurate.
I mean, I think it's wonderful that we got you, Ray, because it's nothing better than having a victim with us, because you get to suffer every day that you didn't have season one. So we have somebody living in the flesh that I could have had such a better argument there.
Hey, look! One of these days, we're going to have an episode of my top 5 season 1 episodes that I would have liked to have been involved in, and go over some of those conversations and insert myself.
I'm waiting.
That'd be awesome.
You'd be up for
It's
that?
coming. You hear it here first.
All right. Okay. Well, it's in agreement then. We've decided we're going to do that. I'll work out my list.
What about? So, what else, guys? What you, Ray?
What a shock! I have a new anime that I'm watching, but it's actually sci-fi. I am the evil lord of an intergalactic empire, which I'd have to say that I'm not entirely sure it's Robert approved, because the main character gets so screwed over in the first episode. I've rarely seen a guy cop it so badly. He takes an L the size of the Eiffel Tower. It's just.
Let me tell you this over here. This is basically what I seen from the someone I was reading online. It was recommending this, and I actually saw some of the trailers. I have not watched it yet, but please correct me if I'm wrong here. But one of the reasons that I want to watch this is because he got wrong so bad. He decided he was going to be an evil person.
Yes.
However, he is the person that the galaxy needed. So in turn, he turns out to be a hero trying to be the villain.
Pretty much. It's quite common in
kind of like Eren in Attack on Titans.
No, I mean he's trying to be bad and failing miserably.
Oh, he's having micro bad efforts, but he's actually taking down the other bad guys who are way worse than him and saving the galaxy. That's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the evil overlord because I'm going to be a better evil overlord than all the other evil overlords, and I'm just going to kill off all the other evil overlords, and then I'm going to be kind of magnanimous because I can't help myself because I'm actually a nice guy, just pissed off.
I love it.
Now you know how the story goes.
So basically the plot is poetic justice all throughout.
Oh yeah, altruism through true evil.
Oh my god, I like it.
And the other thing, I did a rewatch of Serenity from 2005. Leaf in the Wind.
I think I never watched that movie.
Oh my god, what's wrong with you? We're gonna have to fix that.
Am I missing something?
Yes, you are.
Well, I know you've watched at least one episode of Firefly because we covered it.
Oh yes, of course.
The Great Train Robbery.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's in our back catalogue if you want to go back and listen to that one. But yeah, no, we should cover Serenity. Actually, we should do that.
Yes, we should.
There you go. Maybe that's the
Don't
next.
go to Miranda, whatever you do. I wouldn't go near it if I was you. Robert gets it, and Gio's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember.
And Australians gone crazy again.
I was in the 80s. Screw you. Dundee.
I'm actually riffing the goodies as well, which you guys mightn't know.
Nice. Okay, so I guess we should go to the next segment. We are Science Fiction Reddit.
This is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
We are the Caribbean Science Fiction Network.
We are Monorats.
We are One Accord Level 2 Podcast.
This is Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable and Open Pike Night.
This is SciFi.
And if you're new to the show, this is the segment where we cover the hashtag we like to call This is Sci-Fi. This is our attempt to collect the sci-fi community as a whole into one location. So you are a fan of big IPs like Star Wars or Star Trek or any other smaller IPs or things that we have not even been aware or something that you created as a creator. That is the place to be. So all you got to do is just follow the hashtag. This is sci-fi. Or in addition to that, you want to add the hashtag to your post. This is a post that you're already doing about the things that you either love, you can't stop talking about it, or about the stuff that you created as a sci-fi creator. I love that later because as a sci-fi fan, there's always going to be a hole in our hearts after we finish that long thing, that long IP that we are, watching, or that you fell in love with. Maybe you're doing a rewatch, like we have all done so. But there's still that missing piece. There's always saying something you don't know what you're missing until you discover it. If that makes any sense. And that is one of the great things about this hashtag is how many times I have gone in and discovered that IP I either had in the back burner that never started, maybe was in my list that never started, or something that I wasn't aware of at all. And all of a sudden, I have a new love, a new passion in sci-fi. And I think that's what we're all here for, is for the passion. So just remember, if you're a creator, you're already posting, just add the hashtag, this is sci-fi. And for all of us, just follow the hashtag and let's start a conversation. You are either going to find someone that loves the stuff you do in engaging conversation, or you're going to be uh, point blank of the start of a new conversation with someone that has never heard of the stuff that you love.
Or just pick a fight with me. It's fine.
Yeah, that's another. There's a couple of ways you can join up. The easiest, most direct way would be to um, join our Discord channel. We have so many channels in there. And in our Discord server, if you don't find what you're looking for, which I cannot doubt at this point, but reach out to us and we can make a channel for it. You can also call our hotline. The hotline is 305 563 6334. Just make sure and add a 1 if you're outside the continental USA. But it is 305 563 6334. Basically, what's going to happen is you can leave your
I
passion.
actually are sending by.
You can leave your passion on a voicemail. The stuff that you normally would post about, and with your permission, we will play it on future episodes and have a conversation around it. That would be the most uh, direct way that you can be on our show, showing your passion for the IP that you love or the IP that you created. This is an
There was,
invitation to creators as
there
well.
was a question too. There was a question that's something that you would like us to answer about, or you would like us to ask us. We'll be more than happy to bring that up on an episode as well too. And it's a great way to connect with you and our audience and bring to the world what you think about sci-fi and things that you love about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess I want to also thank our Substack community because we had double our subscribers within the last 2 weeks. So I want to thank all of you out there who are enjoying our articles, which, by the way, they're also on our website, sciencefictionremnant.com. And we have a new article. If you follow our Substack, you know that we don't write frequently, but whenever we do write, we make it easy for you to know because it will, if you're subscribed, it will be sent directly to your inbox. And we also do it whenever it's scheduled to release is Saturday at 7, just like our episodes on the pod. So, guys, we have a new article. What do you guys think?
Woo!
And I don't know if Ray, if you want to help me out here and describe where the inspiration came from, or should we wait for your segment for that? But the inspiration for this article came from a conversation that we were having on another in a live stream that we got invited to. And I'll probably leave this for the segment for the Alita Army News. But it is.
Well, the Alita Army News covers Radio Chaos, but this is the Alita live stream, which is the one that happens a day beforehand. So it's not in my wheelhouse. So just
Okay.
let it rip.
So we were talking about Alita, and as you all know, we are part of the Alita Army because simply we just won
Who doesn't love cyber lollies?
we won a sequel. So if you also will love a sequel, you are part of the Alita Army. So basically, the conversation was about the upbringings of Alita and how she was, in essence, somewhat created, and the comparisons between that process and what John 117 went through on the Spartan program. So
weren't you sitting there in the conversation going, hang on, this seems very familiar. Why does it seem familiar? Oh yeah, Spartan program.
Yeah, pretty much. So if you look at the image, it was an AI generated image of Alita hugging Master Chief. So yeah, it was a really cool piece. I really enjoyed it.
It's funny that you guys didn't mention an IP that was before that is very rooted on the same thing. Universal Soldier.
Yeah.
God.
Do you mean Universal Soldier or Soldier?
Soldier, sorry. Soldier.
Yeah, I thought
that movie too, full on the same thing.
Yep.
Well, let me give you some reasoning as to why, and it might be a future article. And for all of you out there who don't follow our articles via our sciencefictionremnant.com or our Substack, the whole idea for articles is make it easy to consume. So typically the articles will be about 3 to 4 minutes long. So if you don't need much time to read these articles, you could read it while you have lunch. It just takes literally 4 or 5 minutes. So I had this article, I actually had help to write from the Pope himself. Thank you, Ray. Because I really wanted to incorporate the manga lore into it. But the thing is, it is a very long-standing series. And the only place of comparison that I have was the very little exposure I have to the manga lore, the OVA, and the movie. So if you read the article, this is mainly all the movie. And we had a conversation where it would be way too complex to add the stuff from the manga lore. So maybe this would be something on a future article, which I'm still afraid of because it could be longer than 4 minutes. So imagine that, and adding Soldier to the mix, it would be a longer article. So I decided, you know what, because I was thinking about that Soldier too. So I was thinking that maybe I could save this for another article where I can compare that to something else and not make a whole thing about it. But if you guys like longer articles, there's always a Discord. You reach out to us and let us know you want more, and we can make it happen. So,
I just have to say, as a co-contributor to this article, Robert puts these things together really well. It's like really articulate in, getting out the salient points within a short amount of text. I was really impressed, Robert.
Thank you. And that's, I tried. I really do try.
You succeeded.
So I
give it a read. Seriously, give it a read.
Awesome. Should we talk about Feed Spot? I am so over the moon with this. And
I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but hang on, where's my trumpet?
No, buddy, that's for OnlyFans. You don't blow your own trumpet. I commend you though. I wish I could do that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
you
be
were
here right now.
talking about that in the pre-show, wishing you could blow your own trumpet.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be here. I would be rich probably.
I should put that sound that we created on this board and play it.
The dolphin, just
No,
using whatever I say.
no, moving on. Moving on.
Put the whole song on there.
Yeah, there's a whole song. If you haven't heard it, go to our previous episodes. We played it, or you can actually go to our YouTube channel and find it. It is actually there. I am so over the moon, and I want to say thanks to the fans, because there's no way that FeedSpot would have recognized this show unless you guys recognize this show.
Yep. It is all for you guys.
And I am so over the moon. We
Thank
actually did even a test because I still live in Nile. And I went to Google and typed in, and we're still there. It's our image of the show comes right up. So I wanted to take this opportunity to show you guys. And if you are watching on YouTube, our mad scientist here is sharing the screen where he can see the top 100 best sci-fi podcasts listed on FeedSpot, and we're number one. I just simply go into Google as well, type in the best
It feels so good to see
sci-fi.
that.
This is the cool part. Apple rating 5 out of 5. It's like, okay.
I like seeing this, man. This feels, man, like looking at myself naked in the mirror.
Yeah, it makes it makes you want to do more, right? Because this, many people don't know there's so much hard work involved into this.
Yes.
We know a lot of creators, and we go through the same thing. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes money, and sometimes you get discouraged, and that's the reason why some of the good shows that you see on podcast or YouTube, they eventually close shop because they get discouraged. It is very easy to get discouraged. So
But it's been hard for me. Like, I haven't been able to get Robert discouraged. As hard as I try. Doesn't matter how fucked up a thing I say, how hard I try to demonetize us. We're still here, guys.
so
Thanks to you.
I just want to
The funny
say,
thing is that I will pay you to go and check something that we can get monetized. There's nothing. I am just a trickster, like Loki.
so basically the reason why I'm saying all this is I honestly want to thank you, because you guys keep us motivated, and I feel I speak for the crew here when I say thank you. Thank
Yes.
you for motivating into making the show and bring it to you, week after week. Thank you so
From
much.
the bottom of my brain. Thank you. Because I don't have a heart. Nothing personal.
Is it like that? It's really hard to do the love heart thing. Anyway, you know what I mean.
I know how to do it, but I won't do it. You're not going to catch me on screen doing that.
What this?
Does it work? Does it work better up that way?
Yeah. So anything else you guys like to add?
I got something. I'm a Spruik creator friend of mine. He's known in the Elite Army as Lee Lemon. On Archive of Our Own, he is Void Hunter 146. The Archive of Our Own, if you haven't visited the website, it's ao3.org. It's the quick way to get there. It's a website that houses a whole bunch of different things, including a lot of fan fiction. And what he's writing here is a fan fiction of the Alita Battle Angel universe, but he's put his own character in there who's time traveled from the past into the future. And he's trying to find his way in a world that he doesn't understand. And the guy also has PTSD. So I believe that Void Hunter, or Lee Lemon, is sort of trying to raise awareness of the issues that people go through with PTSD, from military service, and putting in a sci-fi context that is well known to the fans of the series. So he's written a lot. He's got 29 chapters and it's 250,000 words. So it's not short format. Sorry, it's not a 4-minute read. It's quite a long read, but I'm working my way through the story myself, and I'm finding it very interesting. And I just thought I'd spruik it. So it's Ghost in the System, an Alita Battle Angel story by Void Hunter 146 on Archive of Our Own, or you can also find it on the website fanfiction.net. So you can find it there. You can also find it on Archive of Our Own. But I find Archive of Our Own a lot easier for reading purposes. So check him out. He's one of the creators who, loves the Alita franchise, and he's doing his own stuff. And it's also quite poignant for veterans and people who've suffered through PTSD. So check that one out.
Awesome. Okay. So moving on to the next segment.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out.
And for these shout outs, I wanted to give special thank you to Jason Anthony Peffley for your comment on our episode Jupiter Ascending, which, if you haven't watched it, go and check the movie and then go catch us there, because I would like to know what you guys have to say about that one. And last but not least, Terra Alpha, our friend and content creator. Go and check him out. Link in the description. He's an awesome guy. He's a voice actor, and he also creates Terra Alpha audio drama, which is about a tabletop game. Very fun, which we have an episode on it. And you should go and check it, because Ray and I were at odds all the freaking time.
Oh, yeah.
It was funny,
yeah.
right? It was funny trying to force myself to just disagree with him on everything. And that's everything for today's shout outs, man.
Chaos!
It was a fun episode. If you guys,
Ray probably wanted to rip my head off, because like I would get on his toes like all the fucking time.
if you guys have not watched or listened to that episode, I recommend it. It's our very first attempt of recording and posting a game, a live game. So it's first time on our feed. Let us know if we did a good job.
And I got the frustrates, so you can see the old Ray losing his shit. Always fun.
Okay, so I guess we're ready to move on to
The Alita Army News.
Oh god, here we go. Okay, so Radio Chaos episode 259. Jesus, getting up there. How would Alita fare against villains in other IPs? This is one of Creaky's topics, because he loves doing these comparisons. So he had Alita going up against all sorts of baddies, including DC bad guys like what's now my mind's gone blank. What's the name of that guy that was in the Justice League movie?
In the Justice League movie, Batman?
No. The bad guys, not the good guys.
The Suicide Squads?
You're asking the wrong person. The good
I
guys,
sure
not
am.
the bad guys.
I sure am. I don't have a list of the guys. Well, I mean, there was
I haven't watched
he worked his way up to Thanos, but we had like the Terminators and the Predator and things like that. And Creaky does tend to try and logic these things out. That there's some wiggle room. So there was some people who disagreed. It was a good discussion. We had quite a bit of fun with that one. So that was episode 259. How would Alita fare against villains from other IPs? And next week in 260, we'll be back to the manga, because it's a new month. So we'll be in volume 8, which is Ascending Angel, I think it is. So we're getting through the original manga quite quickly. It'll probably be another year, and then we'll be on to the Last Order, which is the second series of Gumu, or the Battle Angel Alita manga. So you can check out Radio Chaos on the Alita Army channel, #Alita Army, all one word. That's on YouTube. We live stream Saturdays US, Saturday afternoons US, and it's with a long format, much like this. So be prepared. No 4-minute reads.
But it's fun, and it's live, and it's a good time.
Yes.
And you can also check out the Alita live stream, which is another Creaky production, which is on Creaky's channel, which is roughly 24 hours before the Alita, the Radio Chaos live stream. So yeah, 2 options.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think we're ready for the thing.
There's a thing?
The thing with the thing.
The thing with the thing. Oh, that tells me a lot.
It reminds me of the Thing, the movie.
The thing. We were doing the thing. I watched the wrong movie. Shit.
Do you want to read the thing from the thing that covers the thing that happens in the thing?
Yeah, I should probably read the thing that covers the thing from the
Just
thing.
put some lubrication on around the thing before you penetrate the thing, okay?
Yeah, I watched the wrong thing, so I'm what is it?
If you screw it, it penetrates better.
I'm thing challenged. Oh my god! I'm sorry, listeners. We're all a bit crazy today. Must be the change in seasons. Okay, so the plot to this movie called The Electric State, which they spend a lot of money on movies these days. You might say, and this one is no exception. It's got to be the most expensive Netflix movie ever made. So that's telling you something. But $320 million budget is not a drop in the bucket.
Would you think about that? Talking economics, maybe that the change of the market, that their success is solely depending on box office, if any. These are 3 movies, so not even that.
Yeah,
that's why the price changed too, because before you have like DVDs and Blu-rays that will come up, so the movie keeps on doing compound profits, but that might not be the case for these new movies now. Because I'm noticing that too, like a higher.
Most movies make money in multiple places. They start out at the box office, then they go to solid media, and then they go to streaming. So you can almost justify 200 million for something that's going to make money in 3 places, right?
Oh, okay.
This is 320 million, and they're only doing streaming. They didn't even do a cinematic release, which is kind of like, where?
Yeah.
How are they going to make all their money back?
It's interesting. Look, and to tell you the truth, guys, I wanted to also tell you, I forgot, that I am about to release a new currency, and you hear here first. You can have access to this great currency that's going to be more valuable in the world. It's going to take over now. So I'm going to be producing it. So you have to come through me to get it.
Is that one chaos? I want to see 100.
Yes. 100 chaos, man. I'm working on the designs, but it's messy so far. Too much chaos in one bill. We might have to move with smaller bills first.
Well, let me give you a comparison of a movie we've already covered. John Carter, which was a very expensive sci-fi movie, was 306.6 million. That's gross, so that's what they paid to make it. But what they actually spent after, all the kickbacks and stuff from the various states that they filmed in and all those sort of that movie money that they get back, they spent 263.7 million, right?
Wow.
It made 284.1 at the box office, 284.1 million.
Okay.
So it roughly made its money back. I mean, advertising on top of that means that it wasn't.
What do you say? You made like 15% back of it? Really?
Well, yeah, but with advertising is like another 50%. So but I think they did poorly advertise it from what I remember. I saw like one cardboard cutout and a couple of posters. That was it.
It was such a beautiful tragedy because I have mixed feelings. Like I hate so much that they stopped making it. I didn't even get bothered by the blend of the 3 first book. I was even willing to just play it out because they did a great job. Like it was a beautiful movie.
I really enjoyed that movie. We have covered it, so check our back catalogue for John Carter. But I'm not really, trying to get back into the John Carter argument. What I'm talking about is the cost. Now, that movie cost a significant amount of money for a sci-fi flick. It was 307 million to make, 264 in the final out of pocket, and it had a box office of 284, so it made some money. It didn't do really well, but it would have made money there. It would have made money on solid media, and then it made more money on streaming. So in the end, they wouldn't have come out with a loss after a couple of years of streaming. It would have evened out, right? And then you go and look at the Electric State, which is 320 million. No, that they don't mention gross and net in that. That's just what it costs to make it, which is not an insignificant amount. I mean, I would have liked to have some of the caviar they had on the lunch table at the filming of that one, but yeah, it's a lot of money. And they only went to streaming, so I'm concerned about it making its money back. Really, I mean, I'm kind of scratching my head that Netflix stuck its neck out that far financially for a sci-fi, because studios don't generally do that. So I'm really quite surprised. It's a bit of a shocker, but you can kind of see where the money went, because my God, it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But yeah, so the plot. Now, if you've got Netflix, go and watch it. If your friend's got Netflix, go over to their place, ask to watch it. Okay, because we're going to spoil the crap out of it. We'll wait. We'll sit here. We're not going anywhere. We'll just wait. You pause us, go watch it. It's a couple of hours long. It's a good watch, really enjoyable. Well, that's one person's opinion. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy it?
Oh yes. Oh
Yeah.
Lots of nodding. So yes, we all enjoyed it. So go watch it and come back and then listen to this plot, which will spoil the crap out of it. Okay, so here we go.
Okay, that's all. Bye.
Welcome back. Here's the plot. In 1990, it's not the 1990 I remember, a war between humans and robots has left the world in disarray. With the help of Center CEO Ethan Skate, who developed neurocaster technology that allows humans to upload their minds into drone robots, humanity managed to win the war, while robots were banished to an exclusion zone. However, the success of this technology meant that many people opted to live their virtual lives in a semi-vegetative state, while drones do most of the work. In 1994, teenager Michelle lives with her abusive foster dad, Ted. Years earlier, she was involved in a car crash along with her family, in which her parents and brother reportedly perished. She has lived with a succession of foster families, unable to find a stable home. She is also having trouble at school due to her refusal to use neurocaster technology to participate in virtual classes. Yes, this shit is everywhere. One day, the sentient robot Cosmo seeks Michelle out. Cosmo is actually a character from a cartoon that her and her brother used to really enjoy. He is only able to communicate using gestures and has a limited set of pre-recorded words, but manages to convince her that he's controlled by her deceased younger brother, Christopher. Okay, gets a little freaky, but there you have it. Who was a child prodigy. Michelle and Cosmo set out across a dystopian landscape to find him. Dystopian 90s, what a shock. Along the way, they encounter Keats, a veteran with a complex past, and Herman, a sentient robot who is able to take on multiple forms. He's a construction robot with multiple sizes that he can step into. Together, they meet up with a band of robots in the exclusion zone, led by Mr. Peanut. Yes, Mr. Peanut. Oh, dear.
That's enough.
Mr. Peanut, who looks ridiculously like a glorified president.
Washington?
Of Mr. Peanuts?
Lincoln.
President Lincoln.
Okay.
Yes, he's got a very Lincoln vibe to him. Thanks. They find Dr. Armhurst, who explains that Center found Christopher in a seemingly permanent vegetative state after the accident, discovered that they could create the neurocaster technology by exploiting Christopher's exceptional intellect and integrating his consciousness into the neurocaster network. This technology was instrumental in giving humans an advantage during the war against the robots. However, after Christopher unexpectedly came out of the coma 13 months later, A remorseful Amherst built a way for his mind to escape. Center drones under the command of Colonel Bradbury attack, recapturing Christopher, killing Amherst, and destroying the robot's home. Determined to rescue her brother, Michelle infiltrates Center's headquarters with the help of Keats and Herman, while the other robots wage war against Skate's drone army. Disgusted with Skate's inhuman actions, Bradbury defects and helps Peanut to confront Skate, while Michelle discovers Christopher in a comatose state, his consciousness trapped within the Neurocaster system. In a reunion in the virtual realm, Christopher expresses his desire to be freed from his exploited existence. Respecting his wishes, Michelle disconnects him, resulting in his physical body dying. During the battle, Keats almost loses Herman when his large robot form gets destroyed by a drone robot. However, a miniature version of Herman emerges from the wreckage. Christopher's death triggers a shutdown of the Senate drone's operations, dismantling Skate's control and ending the exploitation of the Neurocaster technology. In the aftermath, Skate is arrested, and the world begins to rebuild the devastation wrought by the war and corporate greed. Michelle then broadcasts to the world, exposing how the Neurocaster technology had affected people's lives and inviting those who wish to live in peace to the exclusion zone. Cosmo's body is dumped in a junkyard, but he is shown rising up, suggesting that part of Christopher's consciousness may still reside within the robot. Cue credits.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a ride, that movie.
Oh,
Yeah, you know that Robert loved this because happy ending.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so before we get
It was a Disney movie that shed on Disney because it was Walt Disney's fault that the robots were created in the first place. This is an alternate reality, okay? It's an AU. So from the 50s onwards, things are a little bit different.
yeah, the 90s, I remember.
No.
It's crazy. It's crazy because the direction that the United States takes after the war is to become just as bad as the tyrant they were fighting.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think the eloquence of the plot and writing of this movie is simply that the robots rose up because they were being oppressed. They gained sentience and were being oppressed by being used to basically farm work. They were unpaid labor. They were slaves. And yet, to beat the robots, they made a slave out of an exceptional young man, and he had to be released to get the world back on level ground, because the world was completely off kilter. And all the people who were I say trapped, but it's like a honeypot. They were using Neurocaster technology, and basically it was allowing them to use half their mind to work using a drone, and the other half of their mind was having fun, so they could be at work and at play at the same time. And it was just too addictive to let go. So they were trapped there as well. So everybody was oppressed and trapped.
You know, when I saw that, I got all kinds of red flags going on, and I know there's obvious reasons why, but one of the reasons that came to mind to me immediately is the fact that you could be at the beach with one side of your brain and do chores with the other side of the brain. You can split up. You can be at two places at one time. So obviously the technology allows you to compartmentalize the brain.
Yeah.
So that pretty much raised red flags to me, because what is to stop this company from using a portion of your brain for processing power without your knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like what I kind of saw. I mean, if they are doing it with a kid, and obviously they need the kid to be able to run this whole thing, I like to think that there's some sort of technology where they are, planning, because whenever you do something, you got to plan for the worst, right? You got to plan for what happens when you lose that one thing that keeps you alive. So I like to think that research and development on this company has been experimenting or playing with a portion of the brain to try to use the collective brain of everybody connect to the system to be able to run this whole operation. Although we know at the end of the film that would never be near enough, because this kid was a genius, and they set him up to be on par or even smarter than people like Einstein. So, what do you guys think about that? I mean, when they started explaining that towards the beginning of the film, I was like, huh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, this movie leverages outdated concepts and just kind of uses them in a flippant offhand manner. There's not a lot of scientific basis to it, but it's storytelling. So I mean, just leave your disbelief at the door and just roll with it. But if you really wanted to put it under the microscope, it falls apart pretty quickly. I mean, I'll leave some of it for the science, but standard electronics of the 1950s becoming sentient, yeah, no. I mean, you need some sort of Stark Industries kind of bullshit super technology to have that actually happen, and you wouldn't be putting it in bots that flip burgers. So I mean, there are lots of things happening in this movie that but it still tells a good story.
I do.
Oh yeah, definitely does.
What do you think about what I said, Chaos, about the company possibly be using everybody that is hooked up as for processing power? I mean, we already do this with computers, right?
Well,
There,
I think that is just ironic if you think about it. That this is supposed to move us forward, and if you think about it, it kind of cripples society to a point that it becomes so dependent. So basically, for example, you look at the fights and you think, oh, it's a force to be reckoned with. But the moment that it got shut down, it's like everybody's out of shape, sedentary. They don't get out of their chairs because they're in those things all day. That changes you biologically,
Yeah, definitely.
you know?
and mentally as well, because you're
Yeah,
changing
definitely.
chemistry.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that there's a saying on medicine, I think, that says that you are what you eat, you know? And I don't think that there was a lot of healthy food choices going on. It looks like it was utopian decadent society is what it looked like. And that's what you usually see when you have a horrible wasteland right at the border of it, nothing else, you know? So it's like the sense of the world felt like a house of cards, you know? It looks big, pretty, but you know that one push or one breeze would crumble it all down. And that's what happened. Because literally, they went with scrap and fight it off.
Yeah.
What was Skate's statement? The world is a tower of shit in a lake of piss or something like that.
No, the world is a piece of rubber floating in a pool of piss
Yeah.
But yeah,
on fire going through space, something like that. Like he said,
yeah,
literally.
yeah. He knew what the situation was, and he was just trying to band-aid it with VR.
And literally, this future is a future. I think that is like Ready Player One future, but darker because here globally everybody just gave up on it. It's like humanity is on a dying rock on space, just waiting for the last heartbeat on more Gaia. That's what it feels like on this movie. Like even in Ready Player One, like there's a hope, but like in here, it's like everything is just burned out to the crisp.
Yeah. Um, we kind of jumped through this, so I think I'm going to bring us back before we move any, it's obvious that this is going to be one of those episodes.
Yeah.
Um, the the question that we normally ask in this show, the very first question that we ask is, "How old were you, and what was your first impression of the thing?" Um,
It's
I don't
only
think
been
that
out
this
for a
one.
week.
this
I
one,
think that it will be just first impression for this one. We are all babies from this one.
I was going to get to that, but because this movie, it wasn't it March 14 that was released
I
this
think
year.
so.
This is
Yeah.
as new as it gets.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
I, at least I can speak. I don't know for Ray, but I can speak for me and Gio. We actually saw this today.
Well, I saw it last night, but it's within the last 24 hours.
Yeah, so it counts. We're all new, and it's kind of funny enough because, and we were talking about this when me and Gio were watching this. We started. We actually were watching. Where were we watching this? Can you say it? We were watching
On
it
VR,
on VR. We were
on big
actually
screen.
on big screen on a big theater that looks like a spaceship, and we were watching this film. So we were watching in VR a
We
film.
didn't know what the movie was really about too much. Like we didn't even remember fresh the trailer that we watched. So we were like just going like all in, not knowing what we were going for. It just became
So
so
you were
freaking
watching a
ironic.
movie about the dangers of technology on your Eurocasters.
VR.
Pretty
I
much.
just looked at
Eurocaster
Robert.
equivalent.
I just looked at Robert literally at the moment that the foster father showed up and they showed this guy walking on his house on a bot. I just look at Robert like this is freaking ironic, brother. This is gonna be just perfect for the content of the show too. Because we watched the movie and this shit and the movie is like don't live inside of this thing. But the funny thing about it is I'll tell you something. Before today or like before this week, it was months that I don't play on this. Like at least to me, I mean, it's gonna be cool when they create a virtual reality that feels real. But I don't think that I would ever substitute reality for reality. It will be always a game for me. It will not be my life.
I
I think that
feel
that will be something tragic. You know.
I feel like we gotta explain for the audience, for at least for those that are not familiar. So we watched this on the Oculus. If you're not familiar with, that's basically a VR, but
Virtual reality.
virtual reality. But we watched it on an app that is for Oculus. You can find it on the Meta App Store. It's called Big Screen, and basically what it is, it allows you to watch a movie on a different setting. So you could set up like a nice living room, or what we've select to pick since we haven't gone to the theaters much, is you have a bunch of different theaters that you can select. And the cool thing is, at least for me, that I am a sci-fi person, they have a huge theater where it's basically, it looks like it's a space station. So
Hmm.
you have all the space, the sci-fi looking chairs and the sci-fi looking auditorium with a big screen in front of you. If you look up and behind, there's a huge glass window that you could see out into space. There's actually like a big cinema, like with golden and red. I mean, there's all different kind of things, but I really enjoy this because you could actually join your friends and watch a movie together. And this is a huge cinema. So I mean, I can imagine what would be it would be crazy if you invite so many people. And the thing is, it uses virtual sound. So, like for
Yep.
example, I was on the right and Gio was on my left on the theaters. We kind of picked kind of like
Hmm.
area. And every time he spoke, I was looking up at the movie, and every time he spoke, I heard him from my left ear. So it is very what's the word that I'm looking for?
Immersive.
It very
Immersive. Yeah.
and you feel like you're there. So when he was talking about that, and this is the reason why I need to explain this for all those who have not experienced number one VR, number two big screen, the application, is that when he mentioned that, I look at him in VR. We all have this weirdly look
Avatar.
avatars, and you can actually see his mouth moving to his voice. And I
Yeah.
was in my mind, it just clicked. It's like it's so ironic. We had no idea this film was the topic that was going to cover. And when when it dawned on us, I looked at the screen, I looked at him, him, not him, because it's the avatar. And I was like, holy crap, I'm looking at an avatar. And that is bigger proof that we are in the
So
world.
basically, the movie played you.
Exactly.
To me, basically, it was a dream within a dream within a dream. Sounds more
Well,
poetic.
you're currently the inception of sunglasses at the moment, Gio. So
It's just no. The thing with the glasses is the lights. I don't want it to look too dark, but then it just gives me pain sometimes.
yeah, but you've got sunglasses on your face and on your shirt. You're the inception of sunglasses.
Oh yeah, shine on, baby.
So I guess I can go first.
Glass on my head and glass on my tits.
Oh, God.
So your tits will never go blind. Great.
You can see them, and they can see you.
I'm going to go first because at this point it doesn't really matter. We all saw the movie pretty much today.
Yep.
I was really, how can I put this? This movie was very refreshing for me, because this was a alternate universe sci-fi film, and in the way that it was done, where because typically when you do these things, you try to stay away from historical facts because that kind of breaks the immersion.
Yeah.
I love how they did it. They actually brought in historical facts into this film, and it doesn't matter because this is an alternative universe. It was a complete different 1990, and I think that plays well today. Oh, I should say that plays better today. That concept of sci-fi film where you talk about historical facts within an alternative universe, and don't get me wrong, they have been other IPs that have done this. Don't get me wrong, but I think it plays better today than years back. Because
when with the rise of VR, in 2024, 25.
Not only that, but with the race of robots too.
Let me explain.
Oh yes.
Let me explain the reason why I'm saying that comment, and you guys let me know if you agree with this or not. But the acceptance of multiverses is what makes the difference. Because years back, although that's something talked within the scientific community, it's not something that was widely acceptable or widely known, I should say. But now the acceptance, I would like to thank Marvel, number one, because they were, I think, in the forefront or making this a thing. But
thank you, Marvel, for making nerds cool.
But and
trendy.
There's a lot more today, because I remember there has been some other IPs that actually work great that I really enjoy. I'm not going to name names right now, but I had conversations with friends back when this thing came up, and I remember the conversation that went along these lines where like, "Oh, that movie was crap because that never happened in that year." And you know what I mean? That that kind of if you have that if you have that experience, you know that conversation. Exactly.
For those who are watching on YouTube, you can see what I'm talking about. For those who aren't, you can wait a month and check out what it is on YouTube.
I think it's a great movie. Movie.
And what year was that, guys? What year was the one?
1990s, like late 90s, I think. Or mid 95. I don't know.
You forgot.
I was a kid, bro. I surely watched it way after. There you go.
2001.
Wow.
So yeah, multiverse is not a Marvel creation. It's not a new topic, not a new subject. But of course, because Marvel is so big and everyone who went and saw it, that's what they think.
Exactly. And
again, thank you, Marvel, for making nerds being cool.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. This is a concept that has been years on the scientific communities. There's discussion about this. You could actually go on YouTube and find, those scientists talking about the concept and the theory behind and how this is in theory, it is a possibility, right? It
Yep.
obviously hasn't been proven, right?
Yeah.
But my point is, this is not even a new concept.
No, no. Honestly, guys, like if you want your sci-fi car, I'll tell you this. This is a minimum requirement: is go and read at least one book of H.G. Wells, one of Edgar Rice Burroughs, and then one of Isaac Asimov, and I will consider you a full-fledged sci-fi member. If you haven't done at least that, I mean, come on, I'm not a reader, and I have done several of all of those three, and a lot more.
I'm just popping down to the library. I'll be back in a minute.
So yeah, so I'm saying, I'm going the long way about it, but this is not even a new concept. This concept has been out for years, right? And the reason that it hasn't been proven, it's kind of like, kind of amazes me though, because with all the conversation and stuff like that, maybe we don't have the technology. And we talked about this in previous episodes, how some technologies are dependent on others. And maybe we're just waiting for that one great discovery of the thing that would allow us to test and prove if this for a fact. However, it's not even a a, a new concept. And because of the acceptance today, I think movies like this will flourish easier without
Yes.
having the negativity or detriment of people that feel that story was written incorrectly. I can tell you, maybe because I am such a big sci-fi fan, hunger for sci-fi, that I always enjoy those kinds of stories. And my first impression on this film, and I know I'm having my rant on my from my first impression here. My first impression is like how refreshing to be able to see the story that I always enjoyed, that I always had discussions with other people that feel that stories like this are not good because they're not it doesn't make sense. To be able to see a story now being like this now being accepted today because of the acceptance of the multiverse. And I really, really enjoy this film um because of that. It's very. So who wants to go next? And it doesn't matter who goes.
I just want to throw something out there. Okay. My initial statement here is never believe official reviewers. Okay, never believe them. They're doing a job, but they're not telling you the truth.
Yeah, we tell you the truth.
Yeah, we'll tell you the truth from the perspective of sci-fi lovers. Okay, they are telling you the truth from they're telling you their truth from the perspective of corporate greed. Okay, so
Push narrative.
so it's quite significantly different. Now,
Could I add,
talking about movies. Yeah,
could
sure.
I add something before you go in? Also,
Yeah, sure.
some of them might not be corporate greed, but even if it's not corporate greed, it's coming from the perspective of a movie critic, not necessarily a sci-fi critic. And
That's
that
right.
I think that distinction plays a big part on what you want to say after you watch it.
Or a sci-fi fan. Like a lot of these people just don't get sci-fi. And I would actually say that a lot of these reviewers are the people that Robert was talking about who can't deal with alternative universes.
Yeah.
I don't
Hey.
remember the 90s being like that, therefore I don't like it.
Just like that guy that was interviewing Keanu Reeves and blew it and said like, "Oh, so in the movie you were Bill, right?" And he was just like, "I was dead," and he just stand up and went.
Oh, yeah.
We won't do that for you. We here, we love what we do, so we know our shit.
That's right. Okay, so the
You should,
point that
but we know it.
the point that I want to make to highlight my statement about don't believe reviewers, always go on the audience score, which is the people who actually paid to rock up.
Yep.
rather than being paid to talk about it. Electric State. I liked it. I do believe my co-host liked it. It I don't think it had too much in the way of shortcomings, personally. I feel the movie really worked well for me, and my view on things. And I have a very flexible mind as far as alternative universes is concerned, because I write about them. So I've got to be able to understand them to do that. But I don't think the reviewers could quite wrap their heads around it. So, gentlemen, without Googling it, what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes reviewer score is for Electric State?
Without reviewing it, without checking on Google, 85. Minimum.
Knowing Rotten Tomatoes,
I go for 90.
It's probably 40. Audience score is probably 90.
Okay. Before I tell you,
this is a high score for me.
Before I disappoint the shit out of you, The One, which is that 2001 movie about alternate realities, in 2001 got 13% Rotten Tomato reviewer score.
Wow,
13%.
What was the audience score?
Let me
high, because everybody that I know loved that movie.
I'm really curious.
You know where I lost my faith on critics too, because like I seen this shit happen with art critic, and it's like sometimes these people don't even know about what they're criticizing about. Like I've seen people mocking them, putting like toddlers painting, making them see, and they start talking crap like it's an artist, not knowing, just to catch him on their bullshit. And there's a lot of wannabes like that. People that don't really put effort and attention on what they do. So tell me now that real people, what they say about it.
Well, I always thought that people who are into that genre should do the reviewing. It shouldn't just be a general review. And you should always preface it with, if you're a sci-fi fan, you will like this. Because not everybody is a sci-fi fan. But, not everybody is a murder mystery fan. Not everybody is a drama fan. Mm-hmm. You've got to be into the genre to appreciate it. If you get people reviewing things that aren't into the genre, of course they're going to shit on it, because it's not their thing.
Of course. No, you spoke for 1,000 years right there.
And that is what happens to a lot of sci-fi. It gets panned because people don't get it, because they're not into it. Simples. Now,
it's literally thrown to the wrong audience. What can you expect?
Exactly. I mean, people who dislike sci-fi are not listening to us right now. I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, because it's not their thing, and that's fine.
Exactly.
But if it is your thing, then you should be doing the review, not these other assholes. Anyway,
trust me. I just want to make a clear point, because people think it's not true, but trust me, it's true. Leave your comment wherever you go when you have something to say about it, because it matters. Even if you think nobody reads it, trust me, somebody reads it, and it might actually turn around somebody from not even trying to look at an IP, just trusting some dumbass critic that doesn't care about the IP or the genre. So leave your comment wherever you go. It doesn't have not only here but everywhere you go. If you want to say something about something, speak up. We're in the time of technology where communication is just out there everywhere. So say what you have to say.
Exactly.
Sorry,
and
Ray.
always preface it with, "This is my opinion," rather than speaking your opinion if it is an undeniable fact. Just say, well, my opinion is, or in my humble opinion, or if you're not particularly humble, in my opinion, because everybody has an opinion, and that's fine. But say, I am a sci-fi lover. I really enjoyed this movie. If you're a sci-fi lover, you will get something out of this. Say it like that. Preface it with context, and make sure that you're saying it as your opinion rather than fact. Sure, it's your fact, but it's not other people's who's reading its fact. So if you preface it that way, you get a lot more traction.
By all means, if you're somebody like Ray that likes to be like the winner all the time, you can bring facts into the point that you're making to make a stronger argument. That's totally valid too. You can actually be right about things when you do that kind of thing. There's a proper way to do things,
I'm only
Like
right
he
about
does it.
things until I find more accurate details, and then I'm screwed. But anyway,
This fucker's autobiography says I know things and I write things, and he does.
anyway. So the one in 2001, lots of multiple universes. People didn't quite get it back then. It got 13% from the official reviewers. It got 51% from 100,000 ratings from the audience.
That's a
So
lot more still.
I think Robert is right. I think back in that day it was ahead of its time, and people didn't quite get it.
But still, look at the towering difference on rating.
I think we need to cover the one. I don't think we've covered it.
Yes, we have to.
Yeah, so we'll put that on the list, but I don't want to go too much into the one, but it's just a comparison to help demonstrate what you were talking about, Robert. That movie was ahead of its time, and I really enjoyed it. It was a good movie as far as I was concerned. So we've got 13 and 51. Now we move on to The Electric State, which is the actual movie we're covering. Sorry, took a while to get there. But so you guys guessed 90 and 70 or something around there.
I said 40 for Rotten Tomato, knowing their history, and 90 for the audience score.
Rotten Tomato. I want to go with Robert. No, I'll go 60 with Rotten Tomato, 60s.
Okay.
But I score with the people.
Hold your breath. Reach under your, kiss your ass goodbye, because you were so wrong.
Oh wow!
It has been panned.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, that's not bad. 70%.
I'm looking at the other one, the kicking the nuts one.
Doesn't matter.
Look at Rotten Tomato.
The one that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that one.
The one that doesn't matter. That is horrible.
Yeah. That's why it doesn't matter. and we were on the money. Like the difference is towering still, and it isn't a bad number. Like Snow White did a lot worse. Dragon Ball did a lot worse. That's that's still a success. I think that they made the money back, and that's not bad again.
But I mean, that proves the Ray's point.
Yes, absolutely. On the money he was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 70% is not fantastic, but it's not terrible. It's sort of
middle of the road. It shows you how much off the professionals were. So why would you trust that gouging system? Use the people that consume it, because they are the ones in your group anyways.
Well, the ones that consume it don't have anything to lose or don't have anything to make from what they're doing. They're
biased about it. Yeah. This is one of the few moments that being biased is important. Yeah. Because we want to hear what you have to say. How you felt about the movie and what effect it had on the viewer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could bang on about movies that have had this treatment, especially sci-fi movies like Leader Battle Angel is one that jumps to mind that got absolutely panned.
Wow, no, really? I thought you were going to say something else.
Gio, go look at it and you'll see. You look at it in Rotten Tomato and you'll see what we're talking about. It's crazy. It's insane. Oh yeah.
Why people still use this website though? I wonder.
So initially, come on, let me click. Initially, it was less than 61. It was in the 40s. It was like 48 or 49.
Look at the public. Look at the public.
Yes. Now, how can a movie that over 25,000 people gave in the 90s, I mean, that's a shit ton of score, have such a low? Now, this number was initially in the 40s.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then somehow it magically got up to 61 and just got into the fresh category. Just snuck in.
That, my friend, is a sleeper movie.
But I mean, you look at that and you go, there's something seriously wrong there with the reviewers, because they don't understand sci-fi, for starters. But the thing that bugs me is that they go, oh, sci-fi, I don't like sci-fi, so I won't even look any deeper and see what the deeper meanings of this movie are. And basically that's why we exist, because they're stupid. That's my point. because they can't look at a movie and get more out of it than, I don't like sci-fi, so I won't even give it a chance.
So you want to go next, Ray, and your first impression, or?
Oh, my okay. So my first impression, you can probably tell that I'm a little bit miffed about this. So the immediate vibe that I picked up from this movie was a sort of a mashup of 90s garage culture, like Slipknot and all those garage bands from Seattle. I mean, Seattle's in the movie, so obviously they're big garage bands there. With Fallout, of all things.
Oh yeah,
Wasteland.
I got a complete Fallout vibe from this thing. It wasn't a 50s vibe. It was a more 80s
All new.
80s mechatronics vibe.
yeah.
So they sort of looked at Fallout and went, that's kind of cool, but I don't like having the whole place nuked. So we won't have the nuked bit, but we'll have a war between robots and humans. And I think it really worked well. It really had a fresh vibe to it. They obviously threw money at the special effects, something heavy, because they were really impressive. But even the scenes in the mall in the exclusion zone, that was so Fallout. If you've ever played the Fallout games, you go through malls.
Yeah.
That.
Yes.
And it's got the shiny 50s sci-fi retro-futuristic. This has got more of a sort of a mechatronics Disney 80s
Theme park.
vibe.
Yes.
We've seen this in other IPs because I don't know, like just to make another comparison, Cowboy Bebop, when he fights Pierrot Le Fou and he goes to the theme park, you got those kind of robots too roaming around. Same type of robots. And I think that they made a good point of segregating, like how the robots of the machines were stop in time compared to the ones in the city.
Yeah. So technology had marched on for the human technology, but not for the robots. The robots were stuck as they were. There was no upgrades for them. They were what they were. So, but the it was a really rich vibe with all the different types of robots and what they were used for. The postmistress robot, she was cool.
Yes,
and of course Herm was awesome.
Yeah,
Herm was a great character. And just for those two characters alone, I'd give this thing like 85, 90 because they were so good. I do not understand how people could hate this. I don't get it.
No.
I just think it's been so mistreated. And I mean, the cast was stellar as well. I mean, it was directed by the Russo brothers, which they've got huge directing chops in sci-fi. And like Millie Bobby Brown, she's been huge on Netflix and in various other places. Chris Pratt,
love him, bro.
Woody Harrelson,
love him too,
as the voice of Mr. Peanut. He's an awesome actor. Who else do we have?
Adam Tudyk is Cosmo.
Yeah, that's Cosmo. And of course, you can't go past having Moff Gideon as the bad guy. So he was a fantastic. So it was sort of a Western feel for his character. He was like the marshal hunting down the bad guy. So it was straight out of a Western kind of feel. But I looked at him and went, "Hey, it's Moff Gideon."
Giancarlo Esposito as Colonel Bradbury. We have Jason Alexander as Ted. That's the bad dad.
I know him as Fringe.
We have
the bad guy.
Yeah.
You were saying? No, that Esposito, like one of the best roles he's done for me is in Breaking Bad. He's the bad guy in there, and oh wow, what a freaking role he did there.
We have the little kid from. I always. I'm sorry. I'm always gonna recognize him as the little kid from Indiana Jones. Sorry,
Sorry, little kid. It's Ki Hu Kwang.
he's such a great actor. I think.
Ki Hui Kwang.
Yes. Anthony Mackie is Herman.
Oh, he was short round.
Yes.
Holy crap!
Well,
That's-
yes and no. Yes and no, because he was a computer too.
Oh
And
yeah.
you can see him on the computer as well. I mean, it was hilarious that scene when he goes like, ah, and he puts like a skeleton face on the screen. Like, that doesn't look scary. I mean,
kill all humans. Kill all.
you try to look scary, but like, that doesn't look scary. Even with an axe, I would not run from that thing.
Oh dear.
Yeah. It has a great cast.
Yeah,
It's
amazing cast. And you know, Alan Tudyk, I saw him recently in Serenity as Wash. So you know, he's got a pedigree in sci-fi as well.
Mm-hmm. And also the what was the name of the bad guy?
Oh, this is
Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci. He's a great actor too.
Oh
He's
yes,
been in many movies that I like him very much.
he is.
Well, is it my turn to say my first thoughts?
First thoughts.
Yeah.
I think.
Because wow, what a movie, bro! This movie was so fun. I gotta say, yeah, it was hilariously ironic that we watched it in VR and I finished it in VR. It was just incredible. I think that this movie is a good telltale for sure. I felt that vibe right away, and it's crazy how poetic it is that even though we fought the robots, the most human thing you saw there were not the humans.
Yeah.
Humans were the least humane, the least thing with humanity in the whole movie were humans, and that's crazy to say. And I mean, the movie has some like you got me in the feels moments too, like the moment that they are on the mall and that uh, he starts projecting the cartoons, and everybody started getting together, like wow moment, like that got me like oh my god, like what could I compare it to, man? Like this, bro. I got like this literally.
I died at the end.
I think that you love the end because you get to have your character still alive.
Well, I hate how they did it though. We only got a reflection that you could assume from it was him. And now you had to wait for a part 2. But
honestly, I didn't like that they dumped the body. I would have kept that body and treasured it forever, though.
well, I was, when I was watching this, I finished watching this with my wife. I was like, I don't understand. They gotta, she gotta disconnect his brother from the equipment. They have all this equipment all around. He's already
Every moment to make it work.
He's already proven that he can escape his body into a mechanical body. So why not move him into this robot that was next to him? Is it the potential? Maybe it wasn't enough for him. I don't know, but it didn't make any sense to me that
he said that they blocked all his escape routes. The one that he used to get out, he couldn't use anymore. But I'm thinking they had the robot directly connected into the system.
Exactly. That is.
So why would he need an escape route?
I think
reverse the original transfer.
I have your answer. The answer is very psychological, actually, the reason. And I get why he did it. He did that because regardless if he was going to leave, he need her to find an external reason, an internal reason to leave. She didn't have one. Like before she found him, if she knew that he existed and he couldn't get her, that would have shot her. Like she had a sense of guilt because she was the one that told him you have to go and study. He didn't want to. She carried that, and then she felt like she lost him twice. So what he wanted is for her to let go, regardless if he could make it back. I think that was the big utility to that decision he forced her into. and I think it was a good thing because that would have destroyed her if she couldn't have made that choice, and it would have still happened. You know, things like that happen in life as it is. So I think that that was the use of him doing that, even if he lived at the end. Yes or no? It was to make her consciously let go of him and accept that.
I also had another theory, and I agree with your statement there. It makes a lot of sense. I also have another theory, and it has to do with the, how can I put this? So he's obviously a genius. So the to be able to trans transcend to borrow a name for another movie that we covered here, he needed a vessel that could support this brain power. Could it be the reason why he did not use the obvious reason, that was the robot right there connected to him already, because maybe he did not have the processing power necessary for him to be him? Because from the very beginning of the movie, and again, this is an assumption, right? Because I'm very aware that he was controlling this robot, that he wasn't technically there. But is it possible that the reason why he chose not to in front of her, and I know your argument, Gio, and I agree with you 100%, that he might not have the necessary processing power to make him him? And if that is so, if we ever get to see part two, it would probably be the same thing where he's talking in lines from the cartoon, because he doesn't have that processing power to actually make sentences.
I think, and I'll give the floor to Ray right away. But I think that processing power, it's not relevant on the robot. I don't think that it doesn't use the same processing power on the system as he's on the robot. I think that he doesn't need to use that. When he's on the robot, he's not being drained or used in any kind of way. He's operating autonomously for himself. When he's on the net on the grid, he's being used as an engine. So I think that that's the difference.
Well, the only reason why I'm basing this concept in is basically what we see at the beginning, how, which in essence, it was a little frustrating, where you ask him a question and he responds in a line from the comic. So
Hmm.
that is where I'm assuming that the processing power wasn't good enough, that he was forced to pick lines from a cartoon to try to make himself known of what he wants to do. So
Oh yes.
that's what I was thinking, but I might be wrong. What is your thought on that, Ray?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, it's a convenience to reduce the ability for the character to just go, it's this. So, that it keeps the mystery going. It keeps the
You
suspense.
are amazing.
Yes. But I mean, all the other robots were able to break out of their verbal limitations and, talk like sentient creatures. But
Some.
that one wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, all the ones
The
that were made
haircut
by characters.
one, the piano one didn't speak fully neither. So
Mm.
so yeah, it shows that some, but not all.
So I'm wondering what the difference between them were. Like, why could Mr. Peanut be so eloquent, but
I
then
would
wasn't a
venture to
fool?
say a motherboard or something which it variates from robot and functions will
Mm,
show that's what showed that limitation of a language on the dialogue of each different robot, right?
maybe. I gotta say that the hair cutting chair robot was awesome. I really like
Yes.
that. Was just so cool.
So
Oh,
funny,
you got
man.
you got a new haircut, yeah, and I hate it. I got guilted into it.
I
I
like
knew that was gonna happen.
I
Yeah.
like the USPS one, and I don't even know who the
Uh,
actress was, because I thought she
Yeah.
was great.
yeah.
And you know what movie is good
Hey,
when you
Jenny
actually have fun with background characters like these.
Jenny Slate is the voice actress for Penny Pal. Penny Pal is the she's a stand-up comedian.
She was
Okay.
great. She was.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed her like lines.
Yeah, it
Her-
was fantastic.
They were good. Yes.
Oh man.
But yeah, just trying to work out, why Cosmo had limited. I mean, maybe the smaller the robot, the less hardware, so the less features. Certainly, Mr. Peanut was quite large, so he'd have more tech packed into him,
Mhm.
so he could maybe do more things. The little tiny cleaning robots, none of them could speak at
Yeah.
all.
Hmm.
So it might be just a matter of size and the technology available when they were created as to what they could actually do.
Yeah, that and then think about it. Every role was created with a purpose.
Hmm.
You know, like if I do a cleaning robot, it's not gonna have the same capacity than a cooking robot, and a cooking
Yeah.
robot's not gonna have the same capacity as a warfare robot or a construction robot. And so,
Yeah. Well, Mr. Peanut was kind of like a mascot, so had to
yeah.
interact with customers, so had to be able to converse with them. So I guess he gets
Hmm.
more abilities in that area. Whereas I don't know why the construction robot was so sassy and could talk well, because I doubt in construction they need to do a lot of conversation. But
You would think.
the
You would
postal
think.
robot would have to talk to people to give them their post and stuff like that. So that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, Cosmo was limited because it was just a mascot from like a cartoon, so it only had those limited things to do. It wasn't a mascot for a whole
Hmm.
company, so it kind of and the size, it was a lot smaller than Mr. Peanut, so it couldn't have as much technology packed into it.
Yeah.
So I guess there are sort of logical reasons there. I still like Mr. Taco.
Hell
I
yeah.
am alive. I am.
Mr. Taco. Uh, nice.
Mm.
Um,
I mean, the robots had lots of character that really made it for me. How enjoyable the show was with all the character packed into the robots, and they had a lot more character than a lot of the people.
I didn't tell you.
Mm.
it, it's
Eh, eh,
it's it's funny that you mentioned that because I'm thinking, right. I don't think I seen a movie before this one where the mobs or secondary characters of a movie have so much um character within.
yeah, and shine the stage just as well.
It's like you can almost make a movie out of each individual one because of
Yeah.
Yeah,
character.
it reminded me a lot of Pixar movies with the
Robots,
amount of
robots. The robots movie from Pixar's movie did
yeah.
the same thing, and I think that the main thing here is that each robot represents somebody's life and career. You know,
Mm.
so it will connect with everybody because we are represented one way or the other in these robots. And the crazy thing is that humanity doesn't represent us anymore because they are robots now in the movie.
You have a point because and maybe that was intentional for us to feel
Yes.
for the robots because you see a construction worker, how many of our friends and how many of you know someone that works in construction? There was the lady that cuts the hair. How we all go and go into a barber shop and we know someone that cuts hair. So there's a representative of each one of our jobs in humanity within these robots, and we don't get to see that like represented obviously on the human side. We only see it on the, and I think that was probably done intentionally for us to relate to the robots more
Yeah.
than we did the humans.
Okay. I
So
have
when
a
they were
special
getting
message.
blasted,
I have a
getting
special
massacred.
message for the writers of this movie, for Christopher, Steven, and Simon. I want to know which of you guys, because I refuse to believe that the three of you agree on this, came up with the idea that the only humans that were in accordance with robots were these two, our main characters. Like, You guys should thought better of humanity. I was expecting actually like a little resistance. Like there were actually some humans living with robots already.
Well,
Like I would have been one of them, bro.
I might have the answer to that, but I want to hear you guys' thought on that.
I don't think that I don't think that VR would have made me become part of what humanity apparently became in the movie.
It was
I would
very
have just run away
it was very strong though, how everybody was dependent on this technology.
completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
So
It crippled society.
I
It
think
crippled
I mean,
society.
I mean, it would never happen in real life. My son comes home and he immediately gets on his VR headset. He's 11 years old.
so.
Trying to talk to him, he's yelling at his friends.
So I think that might be the reason. I know that probably were some people out there that were against, but they had a lot more to lose, and maybe that's why they didn't take one step further. But
But
I do agree that it seems very odd worldwide that
well,
technically one person, she convinced the trucker, right?
yeah.
But is one person in the entire world that was against this. I mean, it's obvious even from school. That scene, it was supposed to, it was going to be one of our quotes when the teacher said we gotta use what was it, BR for class or whatever, and she said,
Yeah,
"Well,"
it's mandatory. It's mandatory for every after elementary, every class. I was like, wow, I felt terrified by that.
and what was the response? She was like, "Yeah, I have a what was it?
Condition. I have a condition.
I have a
I cannot,
condition."
I'm addicted. I cannot live outside of this reality. I cannot live outside of actual reality.
I know it sucks,
Or I,
but
or I prefer it. I think I prefer actual reality. I know it sucks, but and I mean it's crazy that she could read the book and they didn't want that. It made it scary. It's like they were coercing people. They were pushing. It felt like people being pushed by into the matrix, and they were okay with it, and they actually wanted it. And she's fighting against the matrix, and like she's being just like drowned into it. It's crazy. That's what it felt like.
what what do you think about that? I know you're quiet and we're probably talking over you, and
No, it's fine.
so
I get my turn. I can wait. Patience is a virtue.
so what is your
It's a great
thought
book.
about
It's a great book. It's a great book.
that? So what is your thought about what Chaos just mentioned about uh, she being the only one in the world and the message to the writers?
I don't think she was the only one in the world, but she had nothing to lose. Because you got to remember that it was law that harboring a robot got you jail time.
Mhm.
So basically, it's as bad as like harboring a Nazi during World War II or harboring a Russian spy during the Cold War. You were screwed.
Okay,
You were going to jail for a long time, and you
No,
may
I would
never.
have. I would
you
have
may
been
never-
with the robots, living with them.
Well, yes and no. I mean, look. Far be it from me to wonder where they got their electricity from, but it was basically there was no food. There was very little food there,
No
so
food.
you'd have trouble living in the exclusion zone because there's no food production.
Oh, you
And
don't
no
get it,
food
man. I'm a doomsday prepper, man. Like I would have been making my own potatoes and growing on my own poop, bro.
Fair enough.
Infinite potato supply. And there's some
You
wildlife.
and my son would get along well. He's a potato-based life form. If he doesn't get potato at least every second day, it's the end of the world.
Oh no! I'm not a potato. I'm talking about survival here. I don't do that everything.
So is he.
I'm trying to say different carbs.
You will probably end up being that if that's all you can grow, right?
Hey, can of
Hey,
beans,
if
man,
you-
and Twinkies. I could live
if
on
you-
that shit, bro.
If you are what you eat, then you'll be the shape of a potato in 6 months.
No, honestly, living with the robots, I will be the shape of a Twinkie with beans inside.
There you go.
That was a funny scene, man, when he goes into the restaurant. Like Peanut goes like giving the treat, like, "Oh, you should go like walk tonight." And then he's on a joint burger, and like, "What do you have? I want a cheeseburger." And like, we don't have cheese. And like, it's just less and less the more he asks things.
Your static is back, man. So Ray, so you agree that there's something wrong. I think I agree with your point though. When you said that um she was the only one that has nothing to lose.
Well, that we saw. There could be resistances going on in other cities. There's got to be some people that aren't into this whole live your life in VR thing. I mean, while it's all fun and good, there's a real disconnect, I think, with that sort of, well, let's split my brain down the middle and send one half to work and the other half can have fun. If you're able to have fun all the time, it becomes meaningless because there's nothing to differentiate the fun from anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I find the whole concept of having fun all the time to be a bit of what's the term? Diminishing returns. Diminishing returns.
Okay.
The more you get of something, the less you get out of it.
What gives value to things is how ephemeral they are.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, I think this whole 24/7 enjoyment is just going to become nothing to you because you've got nothing to compare it to. So I think it's dangerous.
I mean, talking historically serious here, that's usually the reflection of a decadent society when we just dive in full body, full head on into hedonism. A life of hedonism usually drives a society into its self-destruction. You know.
Well, the noble caste of the Romans, they used to have days-long feasts, and they would have a room where you went and threw up so you could eat some more.
Mm-hmm.
It was no longer eating to fuel your body; it was eating for eating's sake.
Excess.
Yeah.
It's morbid excess, you know. And this shows in here, you know. I mean, the moment that I saw at the beginning of the movie, the guy walking on the bot set, I was like, okay, no, wait a second, like, wow, dude, why? You know, that's like putting your dog in your bed. No, no, no.
Okay, so I think I'm going to ask another question that we ask on the show, typically halfway through. It is, what would you say would be your favorite scene or moment in this film? And you guys can take, I mean, it doesn't matter. We all saw it at the same time, so whoever wants to go first is fine.
Me. The quote that we said. That's my favorite scene, bro.
I think that was that defining. Well, let me say this. It is the description of what happened in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Not only that, let me tell you my experience with that scene. It was the climax of the movie, and it happened in the deepest drop of the plot. That shit was poetic. That's how it felt when I watched that scene. And the guy, Giancarlo Esposito, is such an amazing actor.
Yes.
That on the rubber, just on his face, with that and the movement, the body language, you could see how he felt like his identity got shattered by the realization that who he thought he was built on life, what he believed in, you know, all of it. He really believed in what he did.
That was the crux of the movie where it flipped, because he had spent the entire movie in the Neurocaster, and he took it off. He shut down his bot and took it off. And he's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's bullshit. And then, of course, the system went down not long after that, so he wouldn't be putting it back on again.
Yep.
And she picked up the Neurocaster to go and see her brother and put it on for the first time.
That scared me. I felt like that was such a bad thing to do. And at the same time, I was like, but what can you do? It felt like she was going herself into the pits of hell just to see him.
Yeah. But I mean, it was the flip of the entire movie. The guy who spent his entire time in it took it off and gave it up. And the person who refused point blank to ever use it put it on. Mm-hmm. It was fantastic writing.
Yes, it
I
was
was really
magnificent.
impressed.
Hmm.
You know, you get those moments in a movie or a novel or whatever, a game or whatever, where you go, God, I wish I'd written this.
Not only that,
One of those.
you seen those ping pong games when they're like going like raging fast.
Yeah.
Okay, this the writing did the same thing with emotions on this consecutive set of scenes because right after that, then she kills her brother to save everybody. Hard decision to make, but everybody celebrates because we won the war.
Oh, yes.
And then at the same time, but we lost so much in the war.
Yeah, I like
You
Yes.
that
know,
line, the one the robot said that in a war there's winners and there's what was it? Winners and there's losers, or we
but
lose.
no,
Yeah.
there's victory and loss, but everybody no, there's wins and losses. But there's
Everybody
victory, everybody loses. So
and
there's
everybody
that.
loses.
It's true.
Yes, it is. It is so true. Um,
Hmm.
I guess I could go next.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite scene, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah, so right.
oh yeah, but I had to mention this. I just had to mention not because we saw this movie in VR, right? It's not because we saw this movie in VR, but I love how this film got me. It what's the word I'm looking for? When you're in VR, you're
Emerge. So,
immersed.
immerse.
This movie was so immersive, and I'm not talking about the VR part because we did see it in VR, but it's very immersive. It made me believe um, that I am there and things are happening, and that's what's supposed to happen given the condition that the world is at. One example is when she's driving around, there's no cars on the street,
Hmm.
and that is very horrific in a way,
Concerning.
concerning because you know that the reason why
So,
there's no cars on the street is because everybody is on VR,
Everybody's
well,
plugged in.
and you see the like that part was I guess impressive to me. Where they stopped, there was a park that commemorates the battle of Fort, I can remember Fort something, um and it was eerie because typically when you go to a park today it's full of people, right? And this is supposedly is a monument, is a park celebrating the victory, the human victory over the robots, and it's completely isolated. There's nobody there. And then the entire movie have that feeling throughout where everything was believable because it made me immersive. And I just had to mention that because that was impressive to me. And I wanted to see if you guys thought the same way when you felt this, when you watched
But
this.
it goes further than that because they'd thought really hard about how to present the 90s. The 90s had a lot of energy, from in my memory anyway, and in other shows that you watch about the 90s, there was a lot of energy in the 90s. This 90s had no energy because everybody was absorbed in their Neurocasters, and everything outside of that was going to shit.
Yeah.
All the cars were beat up, or everything looked old. Everything looked like Fallout because everything was falling to ruin.
Yeah.
And it had that whole wasteland, everybody's given up on this feel, which really worked to show the downside of everybody being online all the time and not being involved in the world. The human world was falling apart.
Yeah.
And then you go into the exclusion zone, and because there was no maintenance for the robots and they're just being chucked in there and left to fend for themselves, the robot world was falling apart. So everything was falling apart. The world was spiraling down to nothing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you had the bad people. Like Esposito's character seemed like a bad person, at least until he realized who he was working for. But the humans, like the foster father was an asshole. The teacher wasn't particularly helpful. There was the people just there was a lot of unpleasant people, a lot of people that just weren't doing anything positive. And then there was the scav robots who were going around chopping up the other robots and stealing their parts. So rather than trying to make out, oh, the robots are all goody two shoes and the humans are bad, it was a case of there's bad everywhere. What are you going to do about it?
Yes.
Kind of, even though there's no gore, kind of gruesome to think that scavengers, that's how they live on, is by eating other robots and integrating them into them. Kind of like a parasite zombie robot, if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. They looked that way too. They were really well designed.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the zombie robot head fell off, and then he spots them and goes, "Humans! There's humans here! There's humans!" He gets the rocket.
It was so funny, bro. Hilarious.
I think they did a really good job balancing the darker parts of the story with comedy as well. You could be really dragged down into the pits of depression by this movie if it wasn't for the effort they made to balance out that with some lighthearted banter and the sarcasm and the sass.
I think that's the not giving a fuck vibe behind it. I cannot say bleak because bleak is actually the state of the reality, and they don't assimilate it. Basically, they're like, screw that shit.
Yeah.
So is that your answer, or were you just commenting on?
Oh, well, my favorite scene, the one that keeps coming up in my head, and I realized that pivotal scene was a very important scene, but I don't know if it was my favorite. I think my favorite scene was probably when they started chucking refrigerators at the combat robot. It's like, oh, first of all, he goes, what, you think we're gonna put that combi van on the shoulder and carry you around or something? And then the next shot is, and then they get up to there's a mall down there. Oh yeah, we're gonna check out the mall. There'll be some good food there, some good supplies and stuff like that. Hey,
and they have throwing fridges at them.
Hey, what's that down there? Refrigerator. Oh no!
It's pawn after pawn.
He got me in the hammy.
You can ask Robert. You can ask Robert, Ray. When they got to the robot, the magician robot, I told Robert right away, I'm going to die on this place just with the characters, man. Because I was already, they said the expectation with the magician guy. I was like, okay, so you're going to see now that every robot is going to have a character of their career. So it's going to be a circus here.
And it was. It was here. We don't do that anymore.
What about the scene when they're fighting because he disconnected the fridge, and the scene that they had right before it because he was asking help to unload things? Like they tried to up one on the other, and then with the fight of the fridge, it's hilarious because it's such a human thing what they did there, and it's such a relatable thing. How many times? I mean, maybe not now, but you know probably somebody that always have a problem with somebody taking their charger.
Yeah.
And he literally stayed like all his food went bad because of that problem.
Oh my God! I never thought about it that way, but yeah,
it was so hilarious.
It was basically a food fight.
Yeah, pretty much
between a robot and a person. Well, somebody's fully charged. At least somebody ate today.
It's such a great film. I honestly don't understand the Rotten Tomatoes scores in this one over here. And I do want to hear from you guys out there listening to the show. If you hopefully by now you have watched the film. Hopefully, otherwise,
we'll spoil the shit out of it again.
Well, it's still it's okay, right? I know some of you out there prefer to listen to our comments before watching the thing, which it makes me feel humble that you guys will consider our opinions important on the matter. So thank you for that.
And the fact that I spew.
But the point that I'm trying to make is, if you got to watch this film, I really want to hear from you guys. Reach out to us on Discord and let us know what you think. It, it's so amazing to us if we can have like a full conversation with you guys on which, if you haven't had that yet, on our Discord, because we love talking about the things that we cover. So reach out to us and let us know what you think, because I refuse to think that we are the only three that would enjoy this, considering uh, the ratings that we see in Rotten Tomatoes.
I agree. I don't think that we're the only one.
Well, each of us have different likes and different opinions about shows, but we can all see the value in them, and all of us like this show. So I mean,
yeah.
Guys. This is Sharknado. There's a Sharknado 5 movie. There's hope. Okay.
Where are my later sequels if there's 5 Sharknado movies?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why, right? There's hope, right? There's a movie called Zombiever. It's about beavers that are zombies that are killing people in a swamp.
Yeah,
so there's hope. There's hope.
So yeah, I yes, there is definitely hope on that. So
well, I wanted to mention you guys also. I have a question about. I mean, the problem with this movie is that it's world building writing.
Yeah.
Okay, on an alternate reality that feels very real.
Yes.
Very relatable. It's like too close to the events that happened just recently. That you could say this movie reality branches out from here. It could. It's scary. So what I was thinking is I see that there is some level of singularity in some robots. So I would guess that some robots are more like sentient beings and other are like animals at levels of intellect and how their minds operate too.
Yeah.
I would even go as far as to, because even the male girl, when she pops the heart of one of them, Chris Pratt asks like, "What do you need that for?" And she goes like, "Ooh, for Dobermans." So I'm guessing that they make robot dogs that I was dying to see and we didn't get to see.
That's for the sequel.
Yeah, well, I hope so. But the other thing is I guess that it's a movie, you cannot get it, but there's material here to make a TV show, because having this universe, humans are not the only problem or scavengers. I would go as far to say there should be probably highly organized robots too that are bad.
Yeah, because we only see a colony, but
they're civilized. They're civilized. Like I don't think that. I mean, it could be gruesome or violent, but I don't think that it'll look more like it doesn't look that serious and militarized. You see how easy they got obliterated as a basically a retaliation for helping the humans.
Mm-hmm.
You saw how easy they were erased. But I would go as far as to say, in this world building, there probably will be robots that are not that nice.
Yeah.
And they survive on. And they might be a threat.
Not nice, smart, because we still have those scavengers ones that are not smart.
But those are zombies, Yes. I'm talking more about like robots that were not exterminated and lived on and probably are gonna become a trouble if it doesn't get remediated with. It's crazy, like the amount of radius that they get after the wall is gigantic if you think about it. Like you could die trying to cross that space, and it's a wasteland.
You have a point there, and I'm thinking like, this is just within the U.S. and based on what I hear,
West Coast.
Yeah, this is a worldwide thing. So we still don't see what happened in Russia, what happened in China, What
Mhm.
happened in Japan? Because we could see those cities because they kind of went through and showed you the domes for was a century.
Mhm.
So they have the same problem, but we only see what's happening in the U.S. on this film.
And conveniently, like in West Coast, there's a giant desert in the middle. You know.
Well,
Exactly.
Walt Disney came up with the robots that gain sentience. Now, whether or not other countries copied those robots, got on the bandwagon, certainly China probably would have. And Japan maybe, because Japan loves to do all that sort of stuff,
Well,
especially in the 50s.
there's a Disney in Japan, so that would be
Yeah.
one of the places that would know for a fact that would probably have this issue.
Yeah.
There's also in Shanghai, I think.
Well, you look at the militarization of countries and the ownership of guns and things like that. The US has more guns per capita than just about anywhere in the world, right?
Yeah.
That's not an argument. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Places like Japan have none.
None
Places
gone.
like UK have none. We
Not
had
even
ours
the police.
taken away. We had ours taken away in the 90s as well in Australia. So very few guns in Australia. There are
And
some.
Australians are crazy motherfuckers.
We'll just sick the Newcastle big boys on them. That'll sort them out.
There you go.
You should be proud to say, like, based on stuff that I've learned and everything, they say that the most ancient humans in the history of our mankind existence, they originate from Australia.
Well, that's not quite the case. What it is the most continuous social structure in the world was in Australia.
No, I'm talking about, like, I learned this on my university class in anthropology, I think it was.
Well, no, humanity came from Africa and traveled across Europe and down into Australia, so they didn't start here.
Well, the oldest mythology story ever written first time was in Australia.
Yes.
I can tell you that much.
Yes, but people like Homo sapiens started in Africa.
Maybe they were
according to the fossil record.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
But what you're saying, you may have slightly misunderstood it, but the longest running societal structure is from first Australians.
Yeah.
So they got here and they hung around for a long time and did the same thing for a long time.
But I thought I also, like, the most ancient leftover civilization history is in Australia.
Yeah, but it's more social structures. There's not so much a civilization because they just lived in
indigenous tribes. Indigenous tribes. That's what I'm talking about.
That's not what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. Indigenous tribes, not societies.
Yeah. But I mean, we like you look at Egypt or Mesopotamia or Central America. They built up civilizations that had a lot of structure. But the first Australians, they just lived in concert with the land. They didn't build up stuff that lasted or hung around. But the cave paintings are the things that give it away.
The cave paintings.
Yeah, and the sacred.
But they definitely were around far before. We're talking about BC, prehistoric times.
Oh yeah, definitely. So getting getting back to the movie. Oh, I had a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see if your thinking runs along the same channels as mine did for this question. So my question to you guys is, why did they pick the 90s?
You know, that is a very good question.
I know why. And you know that it's not my opinion. I just speak facts. Because I am perfect.
Because you're
well, I'm made by him. like special edition.
Yeah.
Well, oh my god! You see, we're talking shit. I almost lose my train of thought.
Derailed again.
God damn it! What I was gonna say. Just keep on going, man. Bro, you distracted me.
There's nothing worse than derailing yourself.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't put pennies on your own tracks, dude.
God damn it, bro. I'm so frustrated.
It has happened.
So the question was, why did they choose the 90s or the early 90s?
Yeah. That was the question.
To place the story.
Okay, So my answer to that is because when you look at how we evolved socially with technology, the '90s was that catalyst decade.
Hmm.
I can bring it down to one word, but I want to see what Robert thinks first.
Well, I was completely clueless when you asked the question, and listening to Chaos, that makes a lot of sense.
I literally grew up on it. I know it.
Can I give you my answer now?
Yes,
Go
please.
for it.
One word: internet.
Yes.
The early 90s had no internet. Now, if you look at shows like Ghost in the Shell, the movie Ghost in the Shell, like the TV
1995.
series, yeah, but what happened?
Internet was green code on a black screen back then.
The main character fused with the online
With the net.
entity and went out into the network
Do you think
and
that
lived
is
as
the internet?
the ghost in the machine. Well, the global network. I mean, the story was written and the movie was created before the internet was a thing.
Yes.
So it was predicting the internet.
I
Now,
thought that there was a telltale like they actually had a problem with internet and this became kind of like a Warhammer 40K if you think in a modern way because they're using a human boy as a machine.
but
But I thought
what
that
I'm
happened before.
yeah, but
The
what I'm
movie.
saying is they put this story at the start of the 90s because the internet didn't exist yet.
But it did
And
exist in the movie, right?
no, the internet didn't exist. The Neurocast network was created by Skate
Yeah.
as an offshoot after the war for the drone troops.
Yeah.
So he basically monetized the system used to win the war against the robots, and then got everybody addicted to it. So if the internet already existed, like if they put it now, he'd have to break into that segment of technology that already existed. So putting it in the early 90s meant there's no competition.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why they placed it there.
But didn't the internet exist before the '90s?
Mm-mm.
Even though it was not a
not
commercial use.
not the public internet. The military internet existed, the milnet.
Yeah.
But it wasn't public use.
They
Public use
used
came much later.
they used the university internet. That's
Well,
basically
originally it was the milnet, and then it became the Usenet. No, sorry, the milnet. Then I can't remember the name of it, but it was the university one, and then it became the Usenet, which then turned into the internet.
I never got to see these changes happening on the internet.
Well, you wouldn't have seen it until the Usenet showed up.
I mean, I started using computers at 1995 when I was a kid, playing solitary on them.
So
Not internet, really.
it was a couple of years later that, well, see, I was working in the university at that time, so I got to use the university net. In Australia, it was called the ARNet. I can't remember what ARNet stands for. But yeah, AARNET. And it was basically connecting all the universities together, and we had email. And
Robert, talking about these things reminds me of like the gadgets and the things that started blowing up in the early 2000s too. Because that was also part of great time of technological evolution, like the RSS feeds. Do you remember that shit when everybody used to use them? And now they are like wastelands. Like nobody really. It has to be a rare thing. I don't see anybody that uses them anymore because you got easier access to things anymore now. But they were like great things. The beeper when it came out early '90s, I remember having them as a kid just to see the news. Or see my dad get a pager and call somebody back.
Yeah.
The phones, the big phones, it was a revolutionary time.
I remember having the internet at a point where all you could do was read a page, and I wanted to communicate with other people. And I found that email took too long only because on the response time, right?
Yeah.
When I say it took too long, people go like, wait a minute. It's instantaneously. Yeah, I got that part. The part that I'm talking about is now I got to wait for someone to respond.
Yeah.
So what I did was I actually coded into my computer um, a they used to call it what was the name of it, bulletin board.
Yeah.
And I remember this very clearly because my dad hated me. He gave me a phone just so I can leave the phone alone on the house because
The other phone. Yeah.
and
You got a separate dial-up line.
For the internet.
no, there's no internet lines. It's just a
It
phone.
was dial-in bulletin boards.
Dialogue, right?
Yeah,
So you dial a number and then it talks to a bulletin board much like it would the internet a bit later.
so you would write you post, right, your comment, and now I gotta wait for someone else to dial in and post their response. And that was a little faster than email, but that was
Yes, because people were not connected in internet all day long before neither.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
So now that was still too long for me. I still gotta wait for someone to call. So what I did was I got the other line, connected it to the bulletin board. So now I have two people calling in simultaneously, and you could, in theory, I can talk to two people. As soon as they're connected, I can talk because I'm on my computer. And that was kind of like the beginning of what is known to like what is it? Chat.
Chat
Text.
systems,
No, I think nowadays it's kind of like a group chat.
group chats. Oh, well, no.
MIRC was something.
Well,
too.
an email with several people copy on it.
Yeah, but
Maybe.
the email for me, I was like, okay, now I gotta wait. Sometimes I waited days before someone responded.
Oh man, the oldest thing that I ever tried it was Messenger for Windows 98. I think it was.
AOL Messenger, there was something magical about.
No, MSN. I'm meaning MSN.
Well, I used AOL Messenger, and there was something magical about when you connect to the internet and you hear, and I forgot what the actual sound was. It's very nostalgic, but there's a sound that is sounded when you had a message. Because everybody,
You got mail.
oh
It
yeah,
was like
that's for mail, but I'm talking about for like the chat.
AOL.
There was a sound where someone tried to talk to you and you were offline, and when you got online, the messages were waiting for you. And man, I'm telling you, if you have lived that era, it right now is very nostalgic. And so I do understand what you said about that, Ray, um, and why it works for this film. That this is set in that era. Oh, there we go. Yes. That's when you leave. Oh, that's the message. That's when
I
you.
remember that sound. Such good memories, brother.
Like, there's nothing worse when you're having a conversation with someone, and you're waiting for the response, and all of a sudden you hear a door slam.
They left and didn't respond to you.
Oh God, bro. They did. There was no safe spaces before, man.
No,
People would just shut the door in your face.
and that's why
Like,
Gen X's are a different monster. Because
man, I come from a generation where we will put MP3s on a computer and watch the synthesizer lights going on Windows Media Player or Winamp.
Yeah.
You remember that shit?
yes.
In
looking at
the
that
year
thing.
2000, in the year 2001, I used to Winamp DJ to my gaming group. That was always fun.
Oh, I bet.
Nice.
Good mollies in the 90s.
I do voiceovers. I do voiceovers and introduce songs and this is a request going out to so and so and all that sort of stuff. I was having all sorts of fun with it.
Nice.
When Ray tells me about that, it reminds me of me reading a book called The Infinite Yeast that talk about radio aficionados that live in college and make stories at midnight. Like their hour for radio was like like 1 to 3. Like they had the shitty hours, and it was just interesting
Graveyard shift.
stories.
Isn't that
And the book,
isn't that the
yeah,
beginning of podcasting?
yeah, probably.
Okay.
And basically, the book is that. The book is just a bunch of stories that this guy tells on the radio show. It's crazy.
That's cool.
Good times, man.
So are we up to last question, Robert?
Yeah, I was going to ask if anybody wanted to add something before we move on to the last question.
I hit you with my last question.
Okay.
One of it. Why was it set in the early 90s? But I think we've played that one out.
Okay, so I guess we're at the part of the show where we ask the final question, and for all of you out there who are new to the show, the last question is, what is the last impression on the film? Typically, on previous shows, this encompasses anywhere from the very first time that you watch the film all the way to the last time to watch, covering all the multiple rewatches, but this is unique.
Once. I'm going to go back and watch it again after talking to you guys about it, because there's things I want to
Nice.
check and sort of get, because you've given me different feels about different scenes. I want to go back and watch them again to see if I pick up on the things that you put down.
Hope that my thoughts piss you off when you
It's
make you ache.
That's the bad thing, I guess, about watching something new, right?
Yeah. It hasn't had the percolation time.
Yeah, you haven't had enough time to chew it. You haven't had time to rewatch and pick up on the stuff that you miss, because you will miss things. And that's why the question exists. But maybe we can have another, episode on like many rewatches something at a later time. But for now, this question is going to be answered based on a single watch. So I don't know who wants to go first.
I'll go first. I'm gone first for a while.
Okay,
so this movie deserves your time. This movie has been crafted to an amazing degree. It's got many different layers to it. They've thought really hard about the setup. Sure, there's a couple of, leave your disbelief at the door things, but they're only setups to get the story happening. Once the story's going, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's got depth. It's got great characters. It's got important ideas that you need to have a good think about that are very relevant to in 2025. And they're things that we as individuals and as a society need to think about, because if you ignore them, you end up in the shit like these people did in this alternate universe. So I really do feel like not only was this 320 million well spent, but it is a movie that is entertaining, enjoyable, and educational, and gives you a lot to think about. It's one of those movies that overthinkers like the three of us like to walk out of and almost get hit by a car. We're thinking so deeply about it. So it's probably just as well it wasn't at the cinema, because our lives may have been in danger. Because we would have just walked out into traffic thinking about all the different things to do with this. I'm going to watch it again. I'm absolutely going to watch it again. It was enjoyable. It made me think hard, and as an overthinker, that's what you want to do. And yeah, there's things that the guys have brought up here as obviously haven't had time to percolate. I'm going to go back and watch it again. And I do hope it is successful. I think it's been lambasted by reviewers who just didn't get it. And I do think that it's not necessarily ahead of its time, but it's ahead of the curve of storytelling and presenting an important set of ideas that we, as I've said, we do need to think about. And in the future, people will look back at it and go, well, that's a sleeper hit. That should have been far more appreciated than it was. And it had a lot to say about society and about how we treat others and how we wage war and how we recover from war and what it does to people. And that, it's putting the enemy as robots to say, well, when you're at war, you treat other people who are even your same species as a completely different species, as something completely different. People hated the Nazis, but Germans weren't all Nazis, and Nazis weren't all Germans. So an ideology does not represent a country's worth of people. And the robots in this, they weren't all horrible robots out to kill all humans. There was lots of them that wanted to get along with humanity, and we've got to not paint everyone on the other side with the same brush and just have continual hatred for them. That's another thing that this movie is trying to get across, that hating the enemy is a necessity during wartime, but once war is over, you've got to come together and work your shit out, have dialogue, not just push them into an exclusion zone and leave them there and try and forget them. People, be they looking like you, looking like something completely different, are still people. They're still thinking, they've still got to live, and you've got to treat anything sentient with respect. I mean, you've got to treat animals with respect as well, but something else that's sentient needs respect of its sentience, because it is thinking and it can reason and it can talk to you and it can get along with you. And as we approach the singularity, which I feel that we're, the train is steaming ahead with no brakes towards that moment where something other than us is intelligent and knows it, then we're going to have thought about all this shit and get our ducks in a row before it happens. So I think movies like this are really important to get you thinking along those lines and understanding that there's more to an intellect than what it looks like and whether it's like you or not like you.
Yeah.
So wake up, people, watch this movie and have a good hard think, because we need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not just as sci-fi lovers, but as members of humanity.
Yep.
And that's my take. Watch this movie.
So I don't know
Should I go
if
next?
you want to go next or
Yeah, I'll be quick. Just a quickie. This movie was great. It was very refreshing. I love that all new feeling. I think that they did a great job at not overrun societies with new buildings. I think that you could see that this was the birth, like it was like a very rapid growth, like overnight, of this technology. That's what it feels like, because societies, like cities, still feel mostly intact with big corporate metallical building full of glass in the middle that looks like a giant dildo, you know. But other than that, when they show all the countries with the big dildo in the middle, they look all the same, really, if you think about it. Rio de Janeiro looked the same when they put that giant scene with the statue. So it's a great movie. It was full of entertainment too. I love how every little comment follows another poem line, and there's relatability in each of those poem lines too. So it's just hilarious over the fact, and it has perfect balance on that. Because if you think about it, if it didn't have comedy, this movie wouldn't be something pleasant. It would be just like watching The Pianist. No, it's like watching The Pianist. Like, go watch that if you want to just get depressed. I would definitely suggest the movie to anybody. It's a good telltale, and it has a very important moral message. It's a great warning. I've said it before. I am not very pleased to like the direction that humanity has been moving on as an evolution socially. I think that even though social media is meant to keep us connected, in this day and era, is that we are the most disconnected from one another, and I think that that's something that we should nourish. It's important. It's part of our humanity. We shouldn't let it die. I think that that's the final message on this movie and mine.
okay? Guys, I want to preface this by saying, wow, don't know how they're gonna follow that.
Yeah, you cannot top this. You can't. You can't.
I agree with all of what you both said 100%. And uh, I'm not going to echo because it's already been said. Um, but I might have to slightly,
Echo it. Regurgitate it if you want it. Regurgitate it if you want it.
because there's certain points that I gotta make absolute clear. You guys hear from the three of us. This film is very refreshing. I think we are at the time where we can finally enjoy um, a story like this that has been done before. Um, Obviously, it's still misunderstood based on, right, even if we look at the audience score on Rotten Tomato, that is a 70%. I think this movie is more like a 90, or on the upper 90s for me. So the fact that is 70%, it is good and bad. Bad because I feel that these kinds of stories are still not understood. Um, Good is because it is higher than expected, and we can finally come into an era where we can understand the concept of stories like these. Um, However, this movie is refreshing also for its immersion. Um, if you, again, like, gonna echo Ray and said, there's a couple of moments there that you have to suspend disbelief. But for the most part, this movie is very immersive. It makes you feel that that reality is a possibility. Um, Also, another thing I gotta say about this film is, I like how they use the alternate reality concept on the storyline. I feel is very unique as well. But yeah, I would have to echo that this sci-fi film, like many other sci-fi films, and I believe is the whole idea behind a sci-fi film, the fact that you have this as a medium um to experiment with thought, right? Experiment with ideas, experiment with technology, and in doing so, especially when you're talking about societal issues, this sci-fi as a whole has a message for humanity, and I think this movie has it. Um, the messages within this film are very eye-opening, and it is a warning sign of things to come if we are not uh, aware to what's the word that I'm looking for, to understand that this is a thing and this is happening and we need to do something about it.
Awareness is key.
Exactly. We need to be aware first to be able to work on the issue. Um, I strongly believe that if you haven't watched this film by now, you should. This is a movie that I feel everybody should watch. And just like Ray mentioned, even if you're not a sci-fi fan, just being part of humanity, um, it's going to teach you a couple of things about how humanity is, and I think that would be a step forward in the direction of awareness. Because in order to work on a problem, you need to be aware of it first.
Yes.
So yes, I agree 100% on everything that you guys said. Um, like I said, I don't know if I even top, because you guys were right on point, and I agree 100%. If you guys haven't watched this film, you should watch it, and then get back to us and let us know what you think. And let us know if you agree with any of the thoughts that we have brought up in this episode. If you do not agree as well, let's have a conversation. Let me know. Let me understand. Let me see from the lens that is your perspective. Because I strongly believe, and I have said this in previous episodes as well, that we grow as a person when we learn to see perspectives other than our own. And that's why I feel that a disagreement, like if you don't agree with something that I said, doesn't have to be an argument. This is how we grow. This is how we learn. And this is actually another message that this movie shows. Being understandable, like just what Ray mentioned. It is okay to hate your enemy during war, but after war, fix it, get it together. So be kind to not only your fellow humans, but everything sentience. That I think it would be the main message that this movie if you want to take something away from it, this movie should, that would be the one thing you want to take away. And that is my last thought. So, are we ready for the last segment?
A solid maybe.
Solid maybe. Okay.
The science in sci-fi.
Oh boy. This could get interesting. This could get really interesting. And I use that word in the Chinese sense. May you live in interesting times. So there's a lot of stuff to tease out about this movie. Now, generally we approach the science and sci-fi as when, movies have had a chance to soak into the collective subconscious of scientists who are then looking for new technologies, and somebody's come up with this idea in a movie and, oh, that sounds good, let's make that. And they bring it to fruition. Every scientific advancement has to have been thought up by somebody. Now, whether it's somebody who's working in science in the first place, or whether it's a visionary who's been involved with some sort of literature or movie or TV series or what have you, somebody had to think of the idea first. And there's often needs to be a need for something like that. I mean, people have always had trouble, before the late 90s, calling somebody when they're out and about. And that's why we got mobile phones, because they're useful. It was a need, and the need was fulfilled. But the design of the mobile phones, we had a big era of flip phones, and flip phones are coming back again with the foldable screens. And that all came from the original Star Trek with the communicator. Open it up, start talking. Hey, that looks cool. We'll design a mobile phone like that. And all these ideas have to come from somewhere. And they don't all necessarily have to come from the designers themselves. They can come from sci-fi. Now, this movie has not had its chance to percolate into the subconscious of humanity and pop up in designs and things like that. And it's one of those questions of, is it art imitating life or life imitating art? These things feed back on themselves, and it's like a rolling ball, and you can never quite work out which part of the ball's touching the road at the time. So this movie hasn't had its opportunity to percolate yet, but there are some facets of this movie that you can actually see developing within current scientific advancements, looking at the Boston Dynamics robot. The Boston Dynamics robot is looking a hell of a lot, and the Atlas, yes, and the Tesla robots are looking a lot like the
humans,
the units.
They look more modern than the units already. You can literally put a latex skin on top of that thing and it look real.
But I mean, the technology in this movie that was designed for people to do two things at once was very reminiscent of Boston Dynamics and the Tesla robots in shape and form, which is probably just because, hey, that's kind of what it would look like, because that makes sense. But in this case, it's probably more art imitating life than life imitating art, because this movie's so new. But drone piloting in the military has been quite the thing all through this millennium, because we're in a new millennium compared to when this movie was set, which was the last millennium, or the last century, is equally as accurate. But yeah, drone piloting is a big thing in militaries around the world for intelligence gathering, surveillance, and reconnaissance, as well as tactical support, and in some cases, combat operations. Generally, flying drones are more the go-to at the moment because they can get around a lot more. And they thought about that in this movie. These drones were airlifted in with their own little helicopter suits or helicopter units which sat on their backs. So they thought about the way these drones would arrive because ground effect drones in bipedal form have the limitation of getting around, whereas drones that are used generally in the military today are flying drones. So they take off like a plane, they fly around, and if they get shot down, yeah, we lost some money and some technology, but hey, nobody died. So that's the whole point of drones, really, is to remove that loss factor of the pilot, because pilots take a lot of money and expense to train. So you don't really want to be losing a pilot every time you lose a vehicle. So that's the whole point of drone warfare, is to remove that human component that you don't want to have killed.
Yep.
So if you had the choice of losing a vehicle and losing the pilot, or just losing the vehicle, which would you choose?
Yeah.
2 losses or 1 loss?
1 loss.
That's exactly right. So you prefer to send a drone in and lose that than lose the person. So when you've got to deal with people on the ground, if you could have a drone which is bipedal and looks like a person and even displays their face, that is more convenient than sending the person in and having them die.
You know what's a scary thing? There's so many things that you can advocate for this idea to go forward, because you know how there is so many accidents, because I understand like a police officer is in danger because they don't know what they're dealing with, and that many accidents happen sometimes that they shouldn't happen. This could be evaded with this, because you cannot shot dead a robot. So they could advance to a person that might be hysterical, that really is not an assassin or a murderer, and detain them without nobody even having a risk danger. You know, so there is positive things that can come out of this that could save so many lives. You know, and at the same time, there's so much danger on it. That how bad it could be misused.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been lots of movies, some that we've covered recently, that have humanoid robots working as drones. Chappie is a big one from recent
This
times.
movie was like Chappie, but they care that they give us a blood.
Yeah, it was kind of like Chappie with now,
With a good blood. And Chappie's like, "Oh, we got robots. Just make them fight, bro." We said Chappie or something, and that's
Chappie with charm, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah,
Because these robots had a lot of character.
Oh yes.
That made them really enjoyable to watch.
Oh hell yes.
Now Elysium.
Yes.
Which we have covered. Go back and check our back catalogue for Elysium. It's a great movie. Should check that one out. And it had humanoid robots in it as well. They weren't so much drones as they were like autonomous robots, but they were militarized, so they were pretty nasty. So there's another sort of track that you could go down that was quite similar. But yeah, I mean, it's not a new concept in a movie, but I did feel that this movie put a new twist on it, which I really quite liked. Now, what are my other points? Yeah. So, is the military developing bipedal drones? Yes, of course they are.
I'm sure they had already. There's these exoskeletal armors too that are amazing, that make a ranger and a military infantry work have carrying capacity and range of a superhuman without tiring it. This is normal already within the equipment
So you have the option of wearing your drone, but then you have your highly trained, very expensive operative facing danger. Or if you can develop the drone to the point where it can react as quickly as a person could, then of
over.
course the technology is expensive, but then you're not losing your expensive operative. So I kind of feel like militaries in the future will be heading down this path that was shown in this movie of a room full of people with helmets on, VRing into drones which are out on the battlefield. So if you lose the drone, then that person just changes their perspective to a new drone which walks out of the carrier and continues on with the operation. So whereas, you know, when you get somebody shot on the battlefield, if they're not killed outright, you've got to evac them and look after them and rehabilitate them, and then you might have to then have them go off on pension because they're injured and they can no longer do their job. Now you just lose a bit of technology and you send another one out, which is mass produced.
I just had a horrible realization.
Mm-hmm.
I think that our next war is literally gonna be who runs out of toys first.
Exactly. I see you have joined me on the oh shit train.
Who runs out of who has less remote control cars and drones? Who blows them all first?
And it'll come down to who's got control of the minerals and the requirements to build them, and who can build them faster.
It's basically Mario Kart, guys, and the last RC car on the track is the winner.
Wow.
Indeed.
That's insane.
That's a satirical interpretation of what we're going towards.
Thank you for joining me on the oh shit train. So yeah, that's where we're heading. I'm glad you picked up on that. I was hoping one of you would step in with that one. I can always rely on Chaos to pick up what I'm putting down.
That was so funny, man, but it's true, man. It's literally what we're going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So look forward to that, boys and girls. Let's hope.
That I have bow and arrows in my house.
Let's hope that the combat sport arena is not your backyard. That's all I can say.
Hack that. Look, man, you can even hack some modern weapons, but I dare you to hack my bow and arrow.
I'll just give you some drugs and freak you out, and then you'll just shoot them. That's how you hack a bow and arrow, man. Okay, so the other things that I wanted to bring up, and Gio touched on it in his concluding remarks, is technology development during wartime. We've seen it twice in the last century. There's huge technological development during World War I and World War II because there had to be to win. And that's basically what happened in this movie. The huge technological development and basically the co-opting of an amazing human brain to make it all work to survive. Humans were losing. The robots did not sleep. The robots did not take a piss. The robots did not blink. And humans were losing until they got their own mechanized infantry, quite literally. Not riding in on vehicles, but riding in on bots. And that's what gave them the win.
On their avatars.
Because they were avataring it. Yeah, exactly. They didn't run out of toys first. and that technological development, that sudden jump in technology is really obvious. What Gio was saying with the dildos popping up all around.
Yeah.
You've got 90s-esque visuals with these sudden pop-up technologies.
Super futuristic.
And that's just like what happens in wartime. You get these sudden advances in technology which are out of sync with the rest of the world. The rest of the world hasn't caught up.
You know something
really telling.
You know something crazy that you mentioned now about the dildos that we might not even have realized, but you mentioned it in a way when you said about the empty streets. And it's that you don't see, like in cyberpunk lore, the technology embracing and taking over things like a virus, like a fungi. You don't see that here. What you see is this giant tower and no society. So it's like it was just so rapid that it didn't even give a chance society to really even do anything. It just crippled society.
Yeah.
If you think about it, anything that is not the corporation where everybody is just hooked up to, it's not going to develop anything in society anymore until somebody gets out of there.
Yeah.
Well, I question whether or not that society functioned at all, because they were using robots to do all the manual labor.
Yeah.
Suddenly there's a war with the robots, and the robots are no longer doing that manual labor. They're no longer tending the crops. They're no longer cleaning
That's why
the
they lost the
streets.
war.
They're no longer. And once that war was over, humanity had to go back and do those jobs again because the robots weren't doing them anymore, and those skills had been lost.
Mm-hmm.
So they were in deep shit because everybody was hooked into this system. Nobody was looking after anything anymore. They were in a sudden death spiral of society. Civilization was collapsing.
They literally were going into the matrix gladly, you know, like God knows if like they were at the verge of probably start being fed the dead or something like that, something not humane really or good for you that tastes good or does the job so you can stay hooked the whole time. I mean, it sounds insane, but when you see how
Silent
people
Green is
behave,
people.
Silent Green.
Silent what?
Soylent Green is people.
Silent Green. Silent Green.
You haven't seen that movie, Gio?
I think so.
We gotta cover it.
Yeah, we do. Put it on the list.
But yeah, man.
Ever increasing list.
So
I mean,
don't do VR unless you go and do triple X.
Go and touch grass occasionally, peeps. Simple one.
Grass looks real in the VR, dudes.
Not that. Jesus. Okay, the last thing I wanted to cover, because this is getting long, is can the left side and the right side of the brain work separately? The upshot is the answer is no, it can't. There's parts of the brain on the left and parts of the brain on the right that if you separate them and they can't work together, basically your consciousness drops. Your consciousness falls apart. Now, admittedly, they weren't separating them; they were just sending them off to do different things. But basically, the speech centers are on one side, so the other side couldn't talk to you. So it doesn't really work as a functional separation. I mean, they used it as a concept to make an excuse for why people could be having fun and working at the same time. And sure, it's a nice idea, but it doesn't quite stack up in new.
I'm washing dishes. This feels great. Give me more dopamine.
Now that's a whole different thing. That's the reward system. That's not working and having fun at the same time.
Look. I even thought of dark things when I look at this. Like I thought of like depending on the control. It seems that there's a non-invasive, I would assume, method of VR, right? Because we all can agree. Exactly. If we all can agree that it felt like it's not like everybody has an implant, right?
Yeah.
So there's a non-invasive way. Exactly. So think about it. If you can immerse somebody to a sensory point into this place, then you can make their body even feel things like drugs and stuff like that can do. So people find their addictions, they're just enhancing them in these worlds, being bad into like we all choose our vices, you know. Imagine a place where you can have that without a consequence of excesses. You know?
Well, I don't
they
think
kind of
it's
show this on
free. It's still addictive.
Yeah, no, it's still addictive, but it's like most people die on playing hard games or like they get ruined by financially doing bad choices by their advisors, you know? You don't get that here. You're just hooked in there and that's it. You know? It's like you're in a birdcage, but the door is open. You're staying in the birdcage, but the door is open always.
Well, life requires balance. The people aren't moving around, so they're sedentary. They're getting overweight. Their hearts are, failing, and all this sort of shit. There's going to be a huge medical issue in a decade or so if everybody stay connected to these things. And of course, because everybody's connected to these things, you're losing the skills of nurses. You're losing the skills of doctors. It's just he wasn't wrong when he said that society was in its death throes because of the technology he created, but he didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
he was making money.
It's crazy because it's to spend it on what, with who.
Yeah, exactly.
I would
You need a
leave. I would
functional
leave. And I did. No, finish your thought.
You need a functional society for money to have any meaning.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I will leave this last question for our audience. If you could immerse yourself into a virtual reality and live every dream that you could think of, will you do it, or you still choose reality? I would choose reality.
It depends on whether or not you can have a bit of both.
Yeah.
So I think a balance would be good. I mean, going off and living your dreams and then coming back and, you know, earning your dollars and looking after your house and looking after your family and all that sort of stuff. You know, all the important things. But if you have to choose one or the other, yeah, I choose it.
Yeah, I think that's as long as something doesn't make you feel like you're choosing that over your life,
Mm.
and that you're not losing your identity to it, because that happens to a person too. The person start losing their sense of authentic self because everything they do is absorb somebody else's thoughts and medias in forms of very horrible short films that are just like the intercept of Chuck when we watched the show. Remember, Robert? Short images in the intercept, and Chuck became a freaking super agent.
Yeah.
I think that the human mind can be affected in that way depending on how you absorb communication. And I think that, for example, the short epidemic has shown how effective it can affect the society, where we have become more like on our phones. Some people feel isolated because we haven't, but we notice it, you know? So you can affect societies even on that, how we consume media and we present it to each other.
Yeah, definitely. But hey, watch this movie. It's good.
Yeah.
Didn't want to end on a bummer.
I hate that we love it so much and it gives so much warning.
Yes.
I love this
Well,
movie.
you did say, I mean, if it wasn't for the comedic moments within this film, this would have been a completely different film altogether.
I can't wait to go and watch it on VR again, bro.
Well, it's basically a war movie
Yes.
when you think about it.
Better than VR. It's like the ultimate self guilt tripping, guys. I love it.
Dear. So it's comedy. It's a war movie. It's
It has feelings too.
Got a lot of warnings. It's got a whole lot of depth of characters.
A romantic movie.
Yeah, it's got romance. I cannot understand the reviewers.
I love you more than a friend.
I love they're brain dead. Yes, it's got interspecies romance. What?
Hey, yeah, that's transhumanist love.
I think I love you more than a friend. I'm sorry I lost you. You didn't lose me. I just your eyes.
I hope he doesn't confuse it with pencil sharpener. That's all I hope.
Yeah. Moving on. So obviously this movie has a lot of discussion. We're going back and watching it again. We're going to keep discussing it, but we wanted to hit up this one early, not only because it's awesome, but because we wanted to counter some of the bullshit that's been dumped on this movie. So obviously in our little tiny corner of the internet where we're number one on FeedSpot, never expected that in a million years. But because we're number one on FeedSpot, we wanted to give this movie some love and make sure that you went out and watched it and then tell your friends about it and get the discussions going about this one. We've got to counter the bullshit reviews that have basically done the dirty on this movie. So, I mean, I'm not forcing you to agree with us, but go and make your own decision. Watch the movie and make your own decisions, and then come and discuss it with us because we have a Discord. And we would love you to come and talk about this movie on our Discord. In fact, we will start a channel about this particular movie, and we'll start our discussions in there. And we'd love you to join us. So it's pretty easy to join Discord. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can just scan the QR code that's right there on the screen, or if you look in the show notes of that we publish with the podcast, there is a Discord invite link there. Now, you will need to join up to Discord to do that, but it is free. Just set yourself up an account And if you already have an account, it's very simple to click through and be on our Discord in a couple of clicks. So do join us on our Discord. Yes, there are a lot of channels, but just scroll through them and have a look at what you're interested in. And there's lots of discussions going on there. And of course, you get out of Discord what you put in. So do start some discussions of your own, questions that you might have. We're always engaging with anybody that asks any questions. And we'd love to talk to you about your own favorite sci-fi and this and all our back catalogue. Any questions you might have, any points that you'd like to bring up, any opinions that you have, please share them. We would love to talk around those points and comment on them. And of course, it's all friendly discussion. You can have a point of view that you think would get you cancelled, and we'd just say, hey, that's interesting. Why do you think that? And the discussion will just roll on from there, because we love talking about sci-fi, and we would love you to come and talk about sci-fi on a Discord. So please do that. We also have a couple of websites. The first one is sciencefictionremnant.com, which is our kickoff point for the podcast. You'll find our latest release podcast there, which, of course, if you're listening to this, will be this one. And in a week will be a new one. Or if you're going through the back catalogue and you're listening to this as part of the back catalogue, there will be our latest one there that you can check out right away. So on there as well, you will find all of our short read articles. Of course, we've got a new one up there at the time of recording. We have the new one that was mentioned earlier in the show. And of course, there will be other ones going up there as time permits. But they're all short reads, little things to get your mind ticking over and get you thinking about the way sci-fi and real world interacts. And of course, comparisons and other things to do with sci-fi IPs that may have some similarities that we've picked up on and want to share with you. So do check those out. We also have a website, thississci-fi.net. It's in its infancy, but it's for the creators. So if you're creating anything sci-fi, whether it's role-playing games or writing novels or writing fanfics or whatever you happen to be creating, your own podcasts, do jump on that website and get involved. We'd love to see you there. We'd love to interact with you there and also help promote your sci-fi, because we are sci-fi lovers at heart, and we want all sci-fi to get out there and get known and get shared and get appreciated, because people put effort into these things, just like the movie that we covered today. A huge amount of effort was put into it, and it shows, and we want to share that. So do get onto thisissci-fi.net if you're a creator, and we'll help get your sci-fi out there as well. We have a Substack. Substack is another way that you can interact with our short reads. We will be popping them on there as we come up with them. And you can either log on to the website and pick up on our Substack and what we've been producing there, and other Substacks, because there's other sci-fi Substacks out there as well. I've signed up to a few of them. And or you can have it set up so that it delivers them to your email, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So there's two ways to interact with Substack there. And of course, we're also busy on Threads. Threads is like the nicest. So you can join on Threads there, which is part of Instagram, and you can enjoy the conversation there. We're getting a lot of traction and a lot of replies there from the friendly people over on Threads who've left X en masse because it was a toxic hellhole. But besides that, you can communicate with us there and on all the other socials that we're busy on. Now, creating a podcast is not free. We do run on your loves, but also we have to spend money to make this thing happen. And of course, if you enjoy our content enough to want to pitch in, any amount is fine, from $1 to buy me a yacht. But we don't expect you to do that. But if you'd like to throw a few dollars our way to help with the costs of running the podcast, we'd really appreciate that. And
buy him a yacht. Buy him a yacht. He deserves it.
I don't need it.
That way he can get off the Australian island and have time to finish certain book.
Look, I'm going to attempt to finish that over Easter.
Make sure that yacht has a typewriter. Whoever buys it, okay?
I'll take my iPad with me. We'll be good. So buy me a coffee is your opportunity. You can scan that one there, and thank you, Robert. Scan that one there, or check the link in the show notes for the podcast and drop a few dollars there to help out with the cost of running the podcast. We have a hotline, as we mentioned earlier in the show. It is 305-563-6334. That's 305-563-6334. You can leave a message there anytime, day or night. Obviously put a 1 in front of it if you're calling from outside of the continental United States, and leave us a message, be it a message of love, hate, or just telling us what you love about sci-fi, or something to do with one of our previous shows. If you're okay with it, we will play it. Gio is waiting for his first 1-star review. If you've got one, please forward it on to him. He would be very happy because he believes you haven't made it unless you've got a hater. So if you want to be his first hater, go right ahead. But yeah, if you are happy for us to play your message on a future episode, we will do so in the This is Sci-Fi section and talk around your point. Now, of course, if you want to come on the show, you are quite welcome to do so. We love having guests. We love getting other points of view. Everybody's sci-fi opinions are valid as far as we are concerned. So if you are interested in being part of the show, you can do that. Catch us on our Discord or leave us a message on the hotline and let us know how we can contact you, and we will get you on the show. If you've got an IP that you happen to absolutely love we haven't covered yet, that's even better. You will be our local area expert, and you can come and chat with us about your favorite sci-fi. And it's not scary. You don't need to be anxious. We're friendly. We only bite if you ask us nicely 5 times. So you two can join us here and talk about your favorite IP, your favorite sci-fi, and get involved, because the more you talk about sci-fi, the more fun you have, which is pretty damn obvious, seeing as we were number 1 on FeedSpot. So we're having a lot of fun here. You can be part of that. So do join us on the show if you'd like to. We'd love to line you up in a future episode and be part of the fun, which is Science Fiction Remnant. And on that note, thank you for joining us for another episode of Science Fiction Remnant. We're hoping that you will join us in a future episode where we have more fun talking about sci-fi. And farewell from Ray, Robert, and Gio. And hopefully you'll catch us next week on Science Fiction Remnant. Bye for now.
See you next time.